Good afternoon. I am Councillor Tim Needham, Chair of Council, and I would like to welcome you all to this full Council meeting today. Can you all please be seated? This meeting is proceeding on the basis that all members have read their agenda papers and understand the business of today's meeting. We are not expecting a fire practice, but in the event of an alarm, please leave the chamber and turn right, proceed down the stairway and through the emergency exit on the ground floor. Please assemble in the public square in front of Cast, beyond the fountain. Anybody with mobility issues should wait in the refuge area near the lift and use the intercom to call for assistance. This meeting will be recorded and published on the Council's YouTube channel. By entering the Council chamber, you are accepting that you will be recorded and your images will be retained and broadcast by the Council. If you plan to record or film the meeting, please do so without disturbing proceedings. Please ensure mobile phones are switched to silent mode. Finally, any buzzing starts whilst you are talking, please try gently to straighten your microphone to a more upright position and it should subside. Okay, so we'll move straight on down the agenda. Item 1, apologies for absence. I have received apologies for absence from Councillor Ken Guest and Cynthia Ransom. Are there any other apologies for absence?
Sorry, Chair, we've got Councillor Dan Dawson, Councillor Kieran Lay, and Stephen Barnett and Councillor Jason Charity.
Thank you for that. Are there any more absence apologies? Thank you. Item 2, to consider if the public and press are to be excluded from the meeting. There are no exempt items on today's agenda. If anyone has an interest, if anyone has an interest in any item on today's agenda, please can they declare it now or as soon as it becomes known to them. Anybody got anything to declare? Okay, thank you. And if you do find through the meeting that you do need to declare something, if you can make yourself known to a governance officer staff, they can arrange for that to be noted. Thank you. Item 4, minutes of the council meeting held on the 27th of November 2025. Do we agree that they are a true and accurate record? Thank you, that's agreed. Item 5, announcements. I have 3 announcements to make. Firstly, I would like to announce the fantastic achievements of the 2 Doncaster residents who have recently been honoured in the King's New Year's Honours List. Roy Clark OBE, who created the popular sitcoms Last of the Summer Wine, Keeping Up Appearances and Open All Hours, and its sequel series, Still Open All Hours, has received a knighthood for services to entertainment. Sir Roy is, of course, also a freeman of the city of Doncaster. Also recognised on the honours list is Andrew Simpson, Chief Executive Officer at Doncaster Refurnish, who has received an MBE for services to social enterprise. Doncaster Refurnish, which was established in 2003, provides affordable furniture to residents in the city. I hope you will all join me in congratulating both Sir Roy and Andrew for their hard work in receiving recognition for their services and achievements. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My second announcement is to inform you of the recent death of Sir Patrick Duffy. Sir Patrick, the oldest member of Parliament, died on the 2nd of January 2006, aged 105, following a short illness. Sir Patrick, a miner's son, came with his family to live in Doncaster in 1925 and lived here for the remainder of his life. He first stood for Parliament in 1950 and held Sheffield Attercliffe seat for Labour between 1970 and his retirement in 1992. He was a Defence Minister in Jem Calhoun's Labour government in the late 1970s and President of the NATO Assembly in the 1980s, working alongside many heads of state as the Cold War came to an end. In later life, Sir Patrick went on to hold a number of academic positions and remained a respected voice in the field of naval warfare. He was an extraordinary man who lived an extraordinary life, and it will be greatly missed by all those who knew him. Our condolences go out to his family and friends for their sad loss. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to invite all members and their families to my civic service, which will be held at Doncaster Minster this Sunday, the 20th of January at 11 o'clock. I very much hope that you will be able to attend. Thank you. Moving on to announcements. Mayor Jones, do you wish to make an announcement?
I do, Chair. And can I ask that you give me some leniency if I go over the allocated time, please?
Absolutely. Thank you.
So my announcement is about Doncaster Sheffield Airport. Since the decision by Peel in summer 2022 to close Doncaster Sheffield Airport, I've made it my #1 priority to reopen the airport. A successful airport in our city is the #1 driver for jobs and economic development, and the Save DSA campaign showed the huge support from across Doncaster and the north to save and reopen our airport. During 22-23, we were faced with a situation whereby the airport terminal was shuttered and left to rot, the runway abandoned. We put in place planning controls to prevent its demolition, but I understood the importance of the council controlling the airport site and safeguarding its future. If we had not acted, then the challenges and costs of reopening the site would have been insurmountable. Peel refused our offer to buy the freehold of the airport site, and any compulsory purchase order would have been strongly challenged, taking years and with no guarantee of success. The offer of release also effectively killed off any chance of a successful CPO. In March 2024, after over a year of detailed and complex negotiations, we signed the lease for Doncaster Sheffield Airport. The reality is that when you negotiate a commercial deal, not everyone gets what they want, and this deal is no different. We were faced with a stark decision to accept the negotiated lease that had gone through all the necessary legal and financial checks, or to see the airspace dismantled, demolition of assets on the site, and accept that the airport would not reopen. My priority is to deliver an airport that delivers the jobs, growth, investment and opportunities that we all know Doncaster Sheffield Airport can provide. As with any lease, there were clauses and protections included from both sides. Peel has the ability to terminate the lease if they fail to obtain planning permission, but let me be perfectly clear, that clause did not guarantee that they would receive planning permission and should not be read as though it does. The local planning authority operates independently from the council and makes planning decisions based upon planning policy and planning law. The clause contained in the lease was not shared with the planning committee, and any decision it reached was not affected by the contents of the lease. The contents of the commercial agreements are not generally shared widely, and this situation is no different. By not publicising the lease conditions, the planning process could remain sacrosanct. It is not unusual that a council may have an interest in a planning application, and as a result, there are processes in place to ensure the separation of the planning authority and the rest of the council. That is why I do not involve myself in planning matters. The council received advice from a leading barrister who confirmed that the clauses were lawful, as would be any decision reached by the quasi-judicial planning committee. Finally, in relation to the lease, I am in discussions with the monitoring officer and taking legal advice on the potential for providing elected members with a paper copy of the lease on request. This would, of course, have to be signed for under strict instruction not to be shared and with individual watermarks and security measures. The project to reopen DSA has been challenging and continues to be challenging. However, the local jobs and the economic benefits which will be derived by a thriving airport and a flourishing local aerospace sector make this project worthwhile. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Chair. If you'll indulge me, I've got two announcements, Chair. The first one being highways. Councillors, last weekend the Department for Transport released transparency data covering local road maintenance ratings. Like the vast majority of councils across the country, Doncaster was rated as amber overall. However, we were rated green for capital investment into highways maintenance for this financial year. Doncaster is the largest metropolitan borough in the country with a large road network of over 1,600 kilometres or 1,000 miles in the old imperial units. That is the equivalent of driving from here to Paris and back again, or as the crow flies, from here to Rome. I hope this illustrates the scale of the challenge facing a council, like the majority of councils across the country, in relation to highways maintenance. I would like to remind councillors that until last year, we received circa £5 million from the government towards highway maintenance. Pretty much the same amount received annually since 2010 through Conservative austerity. This has led to the crisis we are experiencing across the country in relation to the condition of our roads. We now have a Labour government that has pledged additional funding for potholes and highways maintenance through to 2032, which is of course welcome and much needed. This additional dedicated government funding, alongside the first multi-year local government settlement in over a decade, provides us with certainty of funding, enabling us to plan for additional medium-term investment in terms for this council's own resources, to supplement those that are given from government funding. I would like to reassure the residents and the business of Doncaster that investment in highways maintenance is a key priority for us and will form a crucial part of our budget proposals that will be published next month. If I can go on, Chair, my second announcement.
If you just be as quick as you can, that'd be brilliant. But thank you. Yes, you go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding bin consultation and waste, my second announcement is this. Councillors, I do hope that you have all taken part in the waste and recycling consultation that ended on Monday. We saw over 3,400 people submit their views. I think it's worth highlighting the cost of providing waste and recycling services across the city of Doncaster. They are expected to be nearly £35 million in this financial year. That covers our bin collections, depots, household waste and recycling centres, reprocessing and disposal costs of waste, which includes hazardous wastes and fly tipping. Over a third of that, or £12 million, is attributed to disposal and processing of waste. Simpler recycling legislation was introduced in 2023 by the previous government, which came into force for businesses last year and is set to be rolled out for households in the new financial year. Simpler recycling was brought in to help make recycling simple and more uniform across the country in relation to what we can and cannot recycle. Our current recycling percentage is just over 48% for quarter one of 2025-2026, which covers April to June. That time of year is traditionally higher due to the recommencement of green bin waste. The recycling rate for last financial year overall was over 46%. Now, we've heard a lot about cutting waste, but just to highlight that something all residents across Doncaster can do to reduce costs to the taxpayer is to recycle more and reduce the amount of residual waste that goes into the black-grey bin. I think it would be worth a specific briefing for all councillors so that they can understand the challenges being faced and the changes in legislation that will impact on waste and recycling, not just here in Doncaster, but across the country. I thank you for your indulgence, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd just like at this point to point out a procedural kind of rule. Elected members have asked for questions in terms of specifically Mayor Ros's announcement. It's not procedural to have questions on announcements. Please.
Right, Chair. The City of Doncaster should never be forced into false choices. The housing of the airport. Residents deserve transparency. If any details linking planning outcome to the airport, it must be disclosed immediately.
I think that's a statement rather than a point of order. Point of orders refer to procedural operations, but I will seek, I'll ask Scott to clarify that.
Absolutely. A point of order needs to either be a personal explanation or otherwise a point around our council procedure rules, and it needs to cite which council procedure rule you're talking about. It does suggest that you're talking about something more theoretical than that, and more about a principle rather than a rule that you think is being breached in the course of today's meeting. There are opportunities later on, as you know, to raise sort of other questions and other points. And I know you've got a question on notice, so that might be the point to raise that, Councillor Ward.
Okay, does that clarify matters? So if everyone has a point of order, they need to specifically say which part of the rules it's not correct to. So thank you for that. Moving on, are there any other Cabinet members? Councillor Nevitt, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is about Cusworth Hall Wall Garden. I'm delighted to announce that Cusworth Hall's historic wall garden has been accepted as a Royal Horticultural Society partner garden from April 2026. This prestigious recognition follows recent years of dedicated restoration work and reflects the garden's growing reputation as a high-quality visitor attraction. Becoming an RHS partner is a significant milestone for Doncaster. It will open up new opportunities to attract visitors from across the region and beyond. The Cusworth Park team's hard work, from creating terraces which bring to life the hall's former glory, to a new bespoke entrance gate for the public to access the garden, has laid the foundation for this success. With plans for wide-ranging community engagement in future, the World Garden is set to flourish as a destination that combines history, learning and sustainability. My thanks also go to the Friends of the Wall Garden, who have also supported this investment. It is a credit to Doncaster, and I invite all members of the Council to visit this wonderful venue during the open days in 2026. So I hope to see you there. Second one is Cultural Services. I'm pleased to share that the Culture Services team was shortlisted towards the end of last year for the National Fantastic for Families Award, run by the Family Arts Campaign, this year in the Outreach category. From 135 UK-wide entries, only 26 organisations made the shortlist, placing Doncaster firmly in the top 20%. Although we didn't win, this recognition speaks volumes about the dedication, creativity and impact of our staff in reaching families across the city. It also builds on our 2023 success when we took home the Fantastic for Families Award for our History, Health and Happiness programme. That win underlined our long-standing commitment to inclusive, family-focused culture. This achievement reinforced our ongoing efforts under the Culture Strategy 2025 to 35, delivering well-being, creativity and accessibility for all. Together, we will build on this momentum to drive forward an inclusive cultural future for Doncaster. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Farmer.
Thank you, Chair. Council, last month this Labour government confirmed that Doncaster will get its second University Technical College. This is great news. The new UTC will specialise in green technologies and health sciences, two sectors closely aligned with regional priorities and areas with significant economic growth. Over the past year, Brighter Futures Learning Partnership Trust has worked extensively to build a strong and diverse employer portfolio, linked directly to these specialisms, ensuring that students gain access to cutting-edge industrial expertise, real-world learning, and clear pathways to high-skills careers. Yet this is more great news for Doncaster. Our current Doncaster UTC is oversubscribed. This second UTC, to be built in Doncaster, will provide yet more opportunities for our young people to learn technical and scientific subjects in a whole new way, educating the inventors, engineers, scientists and technicians of tomorrow. Doncaster is well and truly open for business, with exciting economic opportunities on the horizon, including our digital and technical hub, Gateway 1, which is currently under construction, alongside fully reopening Doncaster Sheffield Airport, all of which will benefit from this second UTC for the City of Doncaster. I would like to thank those who have helped to get to this point: Brighter Futures Learning Partnership Trust, Doncaster UTC, Doncaster Chambers of Commerce and our MPs for lobbying government, and all those who were involved in the successful bid to make this happen for our city. Thank you. And my second announcement. My second announcement, Chair, is in relation to the Holocaust Memorial Day, which will be commemorated on Tuesday next week. This is the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp. On and around 27th of January, schools, communities, faith groups and others across the UK, together in national and local events, commemorate the 6 million Jewish men, women and children murdered in the Holocaust by the Nazis and their collaborators, as well as victims of other acts by the Nazi persecution. Each year's Holocaust Memorial Day has a different theme, chosen by the Holocaust Memorial Day Trust. As a focus for education and commemorative events, the theme for 2026 is Bridging Generations. The Nazis killed Jews as part of their racist, anti-Semitic ideology, believing Jews were a subhuman race, responsible for Germans' problems, plotting world domination, and embodying threats to their vision of racially pure Aryan nation, leading to systemic persecution and genocide, driven by Hitler's obsession with racial purity and expansionism. It is disturbing to see the rising levels of anti-Semitism and racism in this country and across the Western world, fueled by division and often political rhetoric. For Holocaust Memorial Day, I ask that all residents of Doncaster and councillors within this chamber reflect and remember the past and the atrocities of torture, murder and mass slaughter carried out in Europe and across the world in the name of racial purity. In the words of philosopher George Santayana, those who do not learn history are doomed to repeat it. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Are there any more Cabinet members? Councillor Church, please.
Thank you, Chair. City of Doncaster Council has joined forces with Sandalbeat Junior Football Club and Sheffield and Hallamshire County Football Association to become the first grassroots football team to support and launch Doncaster's new smoke-free sidelines programme. Developed in partnership, the new initiative aims to create healthier, smoke-free environments for children, families at grassroots football matches. The launch was marked locally at the club's first football match of the year on Saturday the 17th of January. I attended the launch alongside smoke-free advisors as part of an awareness-raising campaign to promote the benefits of smoke-free sidelines. The plan is for more grassroots clubs to sign up to encourage spectators to refrain from smoking or vaping on the sidelines during youth football matches and training sessions, helping to protect children from exposure to tobacco and vape use and promote positive role modelling across the sporting community. Smoke-free sidelines is about protecting children from seeing smoking and vaping in spaces where they play, learn and grow. When adults lead by example, they help shape environments where healthy choices are the norm, not the exception. Football clubs who sign up will receive support from public health professionals and community partners, smoke-free banners, bunting and corner flags, as well as a toolkit of posters, guidance and social media materials. These resources will help clubs make their sidelines smoke-free and show their commitment to creating a healthier, family-friendly environment. The campaign supports the ambition to achieve a smoke-free generation by 2030, contributing to efforts to lower smoking rates across South Yorkshire and foster healthier communities. And I would just like to say a big thank you to Wayne Rolls, the chairman of Sandalbeat JFC, for his support and for all his hard work with the young footballers at the club. My second announcement, Chair. Last week, Cabinet took the decision to procure a developer to deliver a landmark regeneration scheme for Waterdale and colonnades within our city centre. This follows a decision at the end of last year in relation to the lease of the vacant St Moldham building in Waterdale to deliver health on the High Street. The chosen developer will deliver the outline proposal for the regeneration of the Waterdale and colonnades. This is a key step in transforming two strategically important areas of our city centre that are in need of renewal. Residents have told us that tackling vacant shops and city centre regeneration is a top priority. This scheme addresses that by regenerating Waterdale and colonnades, driving economic growth and delivering new homes, commercial spaces to deliver a city centre fit for the 21st century. Doncaster city centre has seen major developments, but like many UK cities, is continuing to face challenges of changing work, shopping and travel patterns, accelerated by COVID-19, and the continued rise of online and supermarket shopping. Our city centre strategy sets a new vision, and Waterdale is identified as a key site. Significant investment has already gone into the civic and cultural quarter and the railway station gateway. Waterdale and Colonnade sits between these areas and needs redevelopment. Regenerating them will join up these developments, creating a more attractive, connected city centre. We'll, of course, keep Council updated as these schemes progress. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, and thank you, Cabinet, for your announcements. Chief Executive, do you wish to make an announcement?
None, Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Item 6, questions from the public. There are 4 public questions to Mayor Ross on today's agenda. I shall read out each question and allow Mayor Ross to respond. I will then allow the members of the public submitting their questions an opportunity to ask a supplementary question if they wish to. You will be directed at a public microphone by one of our officers and be given 2 minutes to ask your supplementary question. This should not be a statement, and it must be a question arising directly out of the original question or the reply given. I will read out the first question from Mr. Daniel Pye. Has Doncaster been impacted by the suspension of the UK and US tech deal in December? And if so, could some detail be provided on how much this is impacting on what this impact is causing? Mayor Jones, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your question, Mr. Pye. I've raised your query with local business leaders, including from the tech sector, who have assured me that there is little to no impact on their Doncaster-based businesses. The British Chamber of Commerce provided us with the following response. It's difficult to establish so far which investment projects in energy, nuclear, AI have been suspended after the announcement, if any. General US investment into the UK continues at pre-existing levels. Any suspension of the tech prosperity deal doesn't extend to the issues around tariffs, digital trade and customers facilitations under the economic prosperity deal, although it may slow down or pause negotiations between both sides on further implementation. I think it's worth highlighting the incredible progress that is being made at Gateway 1, adjacent to Doncaster railway station. Construction commenced last year on completion due in 2027. This will deliver 52,000 square feet of Grade A office space for tech startups and scale-ups with global AI firm Automated Analytics amongst the founding businesses set to take up residence. This pioneering building, right in the heart of Doncaster city centre, is part of our plans to regenerate and modernise key areas of the city. Our aim is to create a new digital hub which will bring exciting new opportunities for Doncaster, including jobs, economic growth, increased footfall, and put Doncaster at the forefront of the changing economy and technological change. We want Doncaster to become a front runner in digital technology. We are already fast emerging as a centre of excellence for artificial intelligence. This building will act as a magnet for leading digital and tech companies looking for opportunities to scale and grow their businesses to locate in Doncaster. The building will be a modern environment with improved public realm, an extension to the recently regenerated station forecourt. Thank you for your question, Mr. Pye.
Thank you. I understand Mr. Pye is not in the chamber, is that correct? Nobody sneaked in then. Marvellous. Right, okay, thank you for that. I will move on and then to the second question from Mr. Tim Brown, who I can see is in the chamber. Will the Mayor answer yes or no to whether her public statement, "I do not see colour," when assessed in a mayoral role and considered alongside the Council's freedom of information acknowledged failure to address systematic racism and its impact on black citizens, is compatible with the Northern Principles of Public Life, the Council's Constitution, and the Public Sector Equality Duty under Section 149 of the Equality Act 2010? If the answer is yes, please identify the specific statutory provision, constitutional requirement, or evidential basis relied upon. If the answer is no, please set out the corrective actions to be taken and the timescale for achieving compliance. Mayor Ross, do you wish to respond?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your question, Mr. Brown. Let me be perfectly clear with you. I treat everyone equally. I do not judge people based on race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or gender. I want to be fair and inclusive for all our residents across Doncaster. I recognise that people are treated differently because of race, and I'm committed to fairness. I try to be aware of bias and challenge it. I ask that all councillors and all residents and businesses stand up and challenge racism in all forms. I would like to reiterate the words of Councillor Sue Farmer in relation to the Holocaust Memorial Day, which takes place next week. It is disturbing to see the rising levels of anti-Semitism and racism in this country and across the Western world, fueled by divisive and often political rhetoric. If you have evidence of racism, then I would encourage you to raise these with the relevant authorities. For anyone that wishes to cause community tension through racist language and actions, then I have this message for you. You do not stand for the people of Doncaster and you do not uphold British values. As a council, we will always stand up against racism. It is worth pointing out that at the Doncaster Anti-Racism Partnership was shortlisted for a national award last September for Excellence in Community Participation Award at the National BAME Health and Care Awards 2025. The partnership brings together representatives from this council, Doncaster and Bassetlaw Teaching Hospital, Rotherham, Doncaster and South Humberside NHS Foundation Trust, the South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board, Doncaster Culture and Leisure Trust, Doncaster Social Isolation Alliance and Volunteer Bank, South Yorkshire Fire and Rescue, South Yorkshire Police, Doncaster College, Sheffield Hallam University and the University of Sheffield, and the Black Leadership Group. A steering group was established with senior representatives from the partner organisations to take collective action to develop an anti-racist approach in the workplace. Anti-racism means a commitment to taking proactive actions to tackle racism and fostering an inclusive and respectful environment for all. The Doncaster Anti-Racism Partnership is the first time so many organisations in the borough have come together in this way. The collaboration is centred on bedding fair and transparent recruitment practices, creating shared opportunities for training and awareness raising, and delivering clear and unified messaging which reinforces the collective commitment to becoming an anti-racist organisation. Colleagues, with lived experience of racism, workplace networks, equality, diversity and inclusion, EDI, leads, and senior leaders are all actively involved. This inclusive approach ensures that decisions are shaped by those most affected while also driving real organisational accountability. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Mr Brown, you are in the chamber. Would you like to ask a supplementary question?
Yes.
Okay. The time limit is 2 minutes, so if you can be succinct as possible. Thank you.
From here?
Yes, he'll pick you up from there. Yes.
Okay. Can I have a little bit of latitude to articulate what I want to say on this matter, please? Thank you.
Yes, you may have a little bit of leeway, but your limit is 2 minutes, so don't speak for 5. I may remind you at 2 minutes when your time is 2 minutes so that you know where you are.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I've seen the response by Mayor Jones, and I must admit I'm really upset. Once again, I've been coming here raising issues around racism for 25 years, only to be ignored and victimised. The response from Mayor Jones does not answer the questions. Point 1 was around a comment around, I do not see colour. Now, as a black man, a proud black man, I'm lost for words in terms of what that means to me when I've explained to Ross Jones and even the council's former equalities chief officer has explained to Ross Jones that such a comment, whilst initially may well be well-meaning, is offensive and inarguably racist. 7 years on, she's not changed her position. Then, 16th of June, I've received a FOI response from the council pointing out to me that the issues of racism, long-standing issues of racism, has not been, right? This is going back, I don't know, 7 years, 8 years. So it's in black and white, it's not been addressed. Ross Jones has not even had the decency to even say when those racism issues will be addressed. And then she has the temerity to mention, what is it, Doncaster Anti-Racism Partnership. I'm pretty active in the community. I've not heard of this group entity. I will reach out to them.
Excuse me, Tim, can I just interject? And I'm sorry to interrupt in this important speech.
Well, it is very important.
Absolutely, and I'm not denying that.
Latitude.
However,
yes, sorry.
in terms of, and we've had a point of order question already today,
Okay.
you were asked to ask a supplementary question. So if you can ask the question or quickly sum up what you're saying and then ask a question, I'd be very grateful.
Sorry, Chair.
Thank you.
As I say, I'm not used
It's
to...
just procedural,
Yeah,
and I
okay,
understand that, and that's my job to support you and help you with that.
I do apologise.
Thank you.
Okay, so the question basically is Ross Jones going to seek advice from the monitoring officer or people in this room in terms of why the comment, "I do not see colour," is offensive and racist, number one? And number two, can Ross Jones just kindly indicate when she or the council, the chief executive or the monitoring officer, will give an indication on when the racism issues that have been documented in a FOI response dated 16th of June will be addressed? That's all I'm asking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr Brown. Thank you. Mayor Ross.
I think it's worth highlighting that when I first became mayor in 2013, I inherited a dysfunctional council that was in special measures and had been found to be failing on a number of fronts. Under my leadership, this council came out of special measures a year early and we continue to improve, with a number of services seen as best practice in the country. I strongly reject your accusation of systematic racism within the City of Doncaster Council. Yes, there have been instances of accused racism, some of which from councillors within this chamber. I would like to acknowledge the latest suspension of a Reform councillor in relation to allegations of racist social media posts, and I welcome the words from Reform as I quote, "Reform UK does not support or condone contents that target or disparages individuals or communities on the basis of race or religion. Such content is not consistent with the standards expected of Reform UK." And I will come back again and actually say, when we look, we're actually moving forward. We've got all the different cultures there. The Anti-Racism Partnership is the first time of all those organisations coming together in order to collaborate in the centre of embedding fair and transparent practices. Colleagues with lived experiences, work networks, equality, diversity and inclusion leads and senior leaders are all actively involved. This inclusive approach ensures the decisions are shaped by those most affected. We will always continue to try and to drive out racism within Doncaster. Thank you for your question, Mr Brown.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for your question. I will now read out the third question from Mr Peter Cottrell. In view of the alarming financial problems facing Teesside Airport, whose history is similar to Doncaster Sheffield Airport, DSA, how much will Doncaster Council taxpayers be asked to contribute to setting up and operating of DSA during the 8 years of predicted losses? Mayor Ross, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your question, Mr Cottrell. I would direct you to the report considered at the last meeting of full council that took place on the 27th of November and paragraph 22, which state, and I quote, "In total, the cost to the council is 193 million, which will be funded by CDC and SIMCA funding of 193 million as detailed. The profile of the funding from SIMCA, which is gain share, etc., means that CDC will need to borrow money in advance of receiving SIMCA funding. The financial plan shows that borrowing would peak at 57 million in 2032-33 before reducing. The interest costs associated with borrowing are factored into the Fly Doncaster Limited financial plan. So, all costs associated with the borrowing are covered by the 193 million of funding and won't impact on the wider CDC budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Mr Cottrell in the chamber? Would you like to respond or ask a supplementary question? Thank you. As previously indicated, you have 2 minutes to ask your
Chair,
questions.
can I be allowed the same latitude to express why I'm asking the question as the last speaker?
That was raised at a point of order that shouldn't have happened, so I would actually ask you, just like to ask you a supplementary question. Thank you.
The question is, what lessons has the Mayor learned from the failure of the last DSA?
The business case that's been produced actually demonstrates that this will actually boost the economy of Doncaster, actually provide well-paid, good jobs, and actually stimulate gateways that will grow the town's economy. And therefore, we've learnt the lessons of what happened there by ensuring that we look and ensure we've got the correct numbers within our business case, as can be predicted. This has not only been scrutinised by ourselves, but also the MCA. So it's been scrutinised twice. And I believe in reopening the airport because it will actually be the economic stimulus that Doncaster needs and provide the stimulus for our young people to want the better paid jobs that can be provided by such an airport. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Cottrell. I will now read out the final question from Mr. Wang Ming Yao. Your Yorkshire Post interview sets out a series of promised deliverables for Doncaster Sheffield Airport in 2026. After years of Labour control, residents have seen repeated announcements without clear deadlines or measurable outcomes. In the interest of transparency and accountability, and given the level of public fund committee, I think I might say committed, I'm not quite sure, will you publish a detailed dated timeline for each commitment you reference, including governance appointments, airspace approval, operator readiness, recruitment, airline agreements and route launches with clear milestones and responsibility assigned, together with approximate budget? Would you like to respond?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your question, Mr. Wei Ming Yao. Reopening a piece of infrastructure like an airport is a huge undertaking with many complex moving parts. What is happening at DSA represents one of the quickest airport reopening processes ever seen in the UK, something that is only possible if multiple work streams are progressed concurrently. Since I made the announcement of our intention for City of Doncaster Council to reopen the airport, the focus has been on doing this as quickly and safely as possible, while following all the necessary legal, financial and regulatory processes, many of which are reliant on third parties such as the Civil Aviation Authority. As I'm sure you are aware, over the past few years in relation to the airport, there has been numerous reports going to Cabinet, full Council and South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority, composed of thousands of pages of information. We of course have detailed work streams and work plans that sit behind the published information. To highlight my announcement at the beginning of the meeting, I will be bringing a report to Cabinet in March to update on the current position and to formalise the agreement that was reached with the former leader of Reform Group in relation to seek private sector investment at the most opportune times. We are working within a commercial environment, hence the need for commercial confidentiality to conduct commercial agreements, ensure value for money, whilst currently utilising public sector procurement. Day-to-day operations and mobilisation activity to fully reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport will soon be transferred to Fly Doncaster, at which point it will become a fully commercial entity in its own right, reporting back to the City of Doncaster Council through formal reporting arrangements that have already been laid out. I must reiterate what I said previously, that in relation to interdependencies that are outside our control, reopening an airport is not easy, and there will of course be challenges to overcome over the months and years ahead. That is why we are building the team and expertise in order to fully reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport as quickly and safely as possible. It has always been the case that DSA will be reopened in a phased way, but the team at the airport are working hard to deliver all the necessary work streams that will allow a full reopening as soon as possible and in line with previous projections. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Is Mr. Yao in the chamber? Okay, thank you. So that concludes the public questions. Item 7, Doncaster Delivering Together, DDT, Borough Strategy Refresh. Mayor Jones, can I ask you to introduce and propose this report?
Thank you, Chair. I'm proud to be the chair of Team Doncaster Executive, our strategic partnership with public, private, voluntary and community sectors. It is a partnership based on collaboration, progress and positivity, with everyone working towards Doncaster being a better place to live and work. In 2021, we agreed a 10-year borough strategy, Doncaster Delivering Together, to improve well-being with a central mission of thriving people, places and planet. It brings together the efforts of the council, all our partners and residents to make Doncaster a better place to live and work. At the halfway point of this long-term strategy, Team Doncaster decided that it was an ideal time to reflect on what progress had been made and to refocus on the actions that matter most to our residents and businesses. We all remember what the world was like in 2021. We were still in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic with lots of uncertainty. There have been many other challenges since then, including overseas conflicts and the cost of living crisis that are still affecting us today. We've made significant progress since then. Team Doncaster, including the council, have worked tirelessly to improve the lives of those who live and work here, but there is still more to do. There are also new opportunities that we have to grasp and make the most of, including South Yorkshire Airport City and other strategic development sites that will boost our economy and housing growth. New national strategies and funding streams such as Pride in Place, neighbourhood health pilots and pathways to work. Devolution, our role in the South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority, and a multi-year financial settlement that gives better stability. New technology and artificial intelligence that will influence everything we do. Today, I'm presenting the refreshed version of Doncaster Delivering Together, our new city borough strategy, to council for approval. It is based on extensive engagement and consultation with our residents and businesses, a review of the progress made over the last few years and the changed circumstances and challenges that we now face. This refresh of Doncaster Delivering Together details new actions for the whole of Team Doncaster for the next 5 years. Some of these new actions are grouped together into packages of work referred to as big collaborations. These are interconnected actions that are essential to help solve complex issues or to grasp opportunities. The big 4 collaborations are economic and housing growth, with projects like reopening the airport. Team Doncaster wants to bring more jobs and investment into the city and accelerate the delivery of affordable homes. Revitalising the city centre. We want a city centre where people feel proud to live, work and visit. We will take action to tackle long-standing challenges and strengthen economic resilience. This includes investment in infrastructure, public spaces and cultural assets, including the markets. Renewing Doncaster's neighbourhoods. We want cleaner, safer and more inclusive communities with stronger local connections and better facilities. Team Doncaster will work with residents to tackle key challenges, enhance public spaces and deliver services that promote well-being and fairness for all. Learning and culture, helping people get the skills they need for life and work and celebrating the roles of culture and creativity in all our lives. I'm grateful to the Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee for considering the refreshed strategy, providing feedback and endorsing the approach that has been taken. This feedback has been incorporated into the strategy before us today. The Council's contribution to the new strategy over the next year will be included in the Council's corporate plan. This will be considered by Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee and presented to full Council in February. Together, we can build on an even brighter future for Doncaster. Everyone has a part to play in making Doncaster having thriving people places, and this strategy is the catalyst for that. I ask full Council to approve Doncaster City Borough strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Okay, please share your point of order.
There's an elephant in the room. We've all heard the pleasantries I'm pleased to share, happy to announce. Can the Chair confirm that there will be no debate today on the secret airport lease and no questions will be allowed to be put to the Mayor for her to answer today?
That is not a point of order.
That's a point of order.
It's not.
This should have been announced no matter how late as an extraordinary meeting.
That is not a point of order for this council meeting today. The point of order is specifically around procedural arrangements and constitutional arrangements, and that... No, it's not. I will continue the meeting. Maybe you could ask questions outside with governance staff, but that is not a point of order. So where were we? Okay, moving on. Thank you. Does any member wish to second the report? Yes, Councillor Glyn Jones.
Yes, Chair, thank you. I wish to second this report and also expand a little bit on some of the things that are covered within the report. My portfolio area covers housing delivery and homelessness, support of business and citizens, and also making our communities safer, and the whole range of environmental services such as waste fly tipping, cleaner streets and highways. All of these services rely on our work with our partners in Team Doncaster and with our residents. In the engagement used to inform the refresh of the City Borough strategy, residents told us plainly that they wanted to see cleaner streets, less fly tipping, better maintained roads and pavements, tidier green spaces, decent homes and safer communities. We are fully aware of the realities that we face and that some places are affected more than others. There is persistent fly tipping and litter hotspots that undermine pride in our places. Concern about highways conditions and road safety, such as speeding. There is pressure on homeless services, and there continues to be a need to raise standards in the private rented sector as well as deliver more affordable homes. This refreshed strategy shows that we have listened with our Team Doncaster partners and we are acting on some of these particular items raised. Some of the examples of the actions are targeted street cleansing and enforcement for fly tipping, more highly visible joint operations with our partners, funding a highways maintenance and resurfacing programme and road safety improvements along the A19 as well as other traffic calming work. We're using Pride in Place funding to renew neighbourhoods, including improving streets and parks, continuing to support housing delivery and using enforcement powers to improve standards in the private rented sector, improving support to people who are homeless and working to prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place. More joint working with St Ledger Homes and South Yorkshire Police to align tenancy support, estate management and actions to reduce antisocial behaviour. I endorse the new City Borough strategy and I encourage my fellow councillors to do the same. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. If any member wishes to speak on this item, please indicate now by pressing the button on your console once. Councillor Wood, please. Oh, no worries, thank you for that. Councillor Jane Kidd, please.
Highlight again the importance of culture. Culture in all its forms is extremely important for everyone, probably especially for young growing minds that are overexposed to screens. It makes the place more desirable to live in and attracts people in and builds communities. I just hope that OSMC will continue to oversee the implementation of our strategy as it has done previously. Thank you.
Councillor Gemma Cobby, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say thank you to Mayor Ros Jones for taking OSMC's reflection on engaging with children in care and care leavers into the consultation. It was something I noted at OSMC as a couple of years ago we, as a council, added to support care leavers as additional qualities in Doncaster. So I'm pleased that additional consultation was made. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Farmer, please.
Thank you, Chair. My portfolio area covers education and skills, youth services, early interventions, children's social care, adult education services. Again, all the services in my portfolio rely on working with our partners in Team Doncaster and with our residents. Children and family have been clear. Young people want safe, affordable places to go, more creative and sporting opportunities, stronger and quicker mental health support, and a real voice in local decisions. Families ask for early help that is easier to navigate and inclusive support for children with additional needs. We know there are still gaps, attainment gaps across our communities, that learners with special education needs can face barriers at transition points, and that our children's social care system must keep shifting resources upstream to prevent crisis. These are significant challenges, especially after tough national conditions, but they are exactly why we are reforming how help is offered and can be accessed. The Refresh Borough strategy details how we are expanding family hubs and Start for Life. We already reached over 90% of under fives, but we want to do more, with more one-to-one support, stronger help on healthy relationships and creating clear routes with specialist services. Implementing the Family First Doncaster family model. This is integrating family help teams, multi-agency working around the family and family group decision making wherever safe. Continuing children's care, social care improvements with clear thresholds, strong practice to prevent neglect and keeping children safely at home with the right support network. Delivering on the special education needs sufficiency plan to increase special school places, grow enhanced support in mainstream school, expand early years SEND and post-16 pathways, and improve mental health support for children and young people with SEND. Expanding the youth offer with more community youth workers, holiday activities and new youth clubs in Wheatley and local youth transformation pilot. We are raising horizons and participation through Remake Learning Days, the Careers Hub and Adult Learning, so parents and carers can progress into work at higher level of training. I also endorse the new City Borough strategy and encourage my fellow councillors to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farmer. Councillor Nevitt has asked to speak.
Thank you, Chair. The portfolio area is about adult social care, independent living and residential quality, libraries, museums and archives, culture. Like my colleagues, all of the services in my portfolio rely on working with our partners in Team Doncaster and with our residents and committees like the Make It Real Board and its co-production. We know that residents want care closer to home with services that are simple to navigate, action on loneliness, and a cultural life that brings people together and supports well-being. The reality we manage daily is a complex mix of rising need, workforce pressures and limited budgets. This is all alongside persistent health inequalities that make outcomes different across our different communities. Too many people still tell us that they don't know where to turn at the point of need, and too many only reach help when issues have escalated. These are serious challenges, but by working with our Team Doncaster partners and redesigning care around neighbourhoods, we can meet them with compassion and practicality. The actions in the refreshed borough strategy show we are integrating community, local and acute services into neighbourhood settings, so prevention, advice and follow-up are easier to reach, so reducing pressure on our hospitals. Expanding integrated neighbourhood care with the Thrive model to support independence, timely re-ablement and joined-up care plans. Embedding social care futures and co-production so services reflect what matters to people. Strengthening the networks, alliances and practical support. Keeping people active with Get Doncaster Moving and ongoing investments in DCLT. We will expand creative health activities so arts and culture directly support mental and physical well-being. Building on DGLAM, the Dagenham Gallery Library Museum, the restored Corn Exchange and improved city archives, we will develop Cusworth Hall and Park as a flagship heritage destination. There will be a programme of inclusive events and celebrations of milestones such as the Ledger 250 and Doncaster Rovers 150th anniversaries. I also endorse the new City Borough strategy and encourage fellow councillors to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor James Church, please.
Thanks, Chair. My portfolio area covers our work in neighbourhoods, including an approach we call Thrive. Planning, trader services and events, sport and leisure, including Get Doncaster Moving, public health and wellbeing. Like my Cabinet colleagues, all of the services in my portfolio rely on working with our partners in Team Doncaster and with our residents. The engagement summarised in the papers shows how much people value community spirit and green spaces. But people have also described the everyday barriers that hold areas back. Antisocial behaviour that knocks confidence. Public spaces that need more consistent upkeep. Health inequalities and the difficulty of navigating GPs, dentistry and mental health support. And the pressure on planning to protect what people cherish while enabling the homes, jobs and infrastructure we need. Added to that, there is a desire for more youth activities, stronger local events, and for our trader services from markets to bereavements to underpin pride and reliability. These are real issues, but they are solvable when we work together in neighbourhoods with neighbourhoods. Some examples of the actions we have been delivering with our Team Doncaster partners. Expanding our integrated neighbourhood teams, the Thrive model, with relational key workers and more co-production so support is preventive, local and joined up across services and organisations. Delivering the Neighbourhood Renewal Programme with Pride in Place, designing activities with ward members and residents. Refreshing our approach to planning so growth is well located and better designed, so it safeguards amenity and character and aligns with neighbourhood health plans and active travel. Along with DCLT, we will expand sport and leisure, we'll invest in future parks, continue to improve the Dome, Adwick and Dearne Valley leisure centres, and deliver the new Edlington Pool and Wellbeing Facility. Use events to drive footfall and family-friendly activities across communities and the city centre. Public health teams will build on successful schemes such as smoking cessation and Be Well Doncaster coaching. Mental health signposting will be improved and will work with the Health on the High Street project so the support is easy to reach. I also endorse the City Centre Borough strategy and encourage my fellow councillors to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Councillor Jane Cox, please.
Thank you, Chair. It's reflection, really, on page 41 of the agenda papers, referring back to Mr Brown's question. I'll read what it says. It says, point 32, Well Doncaster also held 12 focus groups listening to the underserved and marginalised residents, including, number 1, is black and minority ethnic. So I think, going back to Mr Brown's point, we're admitting as a council that that is the number 1 marginalised group in the town, and yet we're not acknowledging that there's a problem.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rob Dennis, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to reflect on something that Mayor Jones said about how this is a refresh of the strategy that came about in 2021, and just how far we've come as a city and a country since then as well. And I want to call out specific parts about the city centre, the Pride in Place funding of 20 million and Community Regeneration Partnership funding of 20 million as well, which has been announced for revitalising the city centre. This is a cover strategy for various different document strategies, working boards, partnerships across Team Doncaster. And it's great to see sort of how far we've come in the last 5 years. And my second point is that within this document, there's loads of different parts of the city that are either listed as getting direct support through strategies in here. And if it's not, if an area isn't listed, then some of the themes that are listed in here will touch every part of our borough as well. So speaking in support of this, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Johan Cratchit, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was about to raise this as a point of order, but this will do. So this is simple. If secret airport documents exist, the mayor must publish them. You cannot spend public money and keep councillors and residents in the dark. Reform demands full disclosure with lawful reductions only and answers tonight on what's been agreed and what risks Doncaster is carrying.
This question has nothing to do with this particular issue, so maybe you might want to ask that in public questions without notice later, but it's not relevant in this section. Thank you. Councillor...
minutes has all been a waste of time. Time wasting.
That's not relative.
The statements haven't been prepared. Even.
It's not relative.
They couldn't read what's written in front of them.
It's
so
not relative. Excuse me. It's not relative. There's no point of order. People and councillors are allowed to share information. This is part of the process, and it's legitimate, and it's part of the Constitution. If you need to... I'm sorry, but I don't think that's relevant at all whatsoever in this chamber. You know, it's not. Are you referring to me like that? I think you need to. Yes, I don't think that's an acceptable challenge. There's no point of order, and I just think we need to move on quite quickly. So. Thank you. Can I just ask that we, you know, in this chamber, I do like to think that we may not agree on things, and there may be things that each individual person doesn't agree with or like. However, this is not the place to say that in that particular terms, and we're going through the agenda, and yes, I agree there's a chamber, but there's a right place and a right time, and there's a right etiquette and a right manner. And I think you need to have some respect to the agenda and especially to the chair. And that's all I'm saying on this, and we will move on. There are no more requests to speak. Mayor Jones, would you like a right of reply?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, colleagues. What you've heard today is a single, shared plan for Doncaster's future, a practical, hopeful and ambitious refresh of Doncaster delivering together. A city-borough strategy that focuses on visible results in every community. This strategy has been shaped with the city. Through the big neighbourhood conversation, we received 6,604 direct responses, 5,150 online submissions and 1,554 community conversations. And we built on thousands more contributions from earlier consultations, including 8,122 responses on the city centre, 3,124 on community safety and almost 1,000 culture conversations. We have complemented this with business, roundtables and ongoing engagement with Team Doncaster partners, so the voices of employers and anchor institutions are in the room. I want to thank again the members of our Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee for their endorsement and their constructive challenge to strengthen the voice of children in care and care leavers, a recommendation we acted on. The task ahead is clear. We will achieve economic and housing growth. We will have a city centre we are proud of. We will support neighbourhood renewal in all parts of our borough and set out Doncaster as a city of learning and culture. But success now depends on all of us. Residents, businesses, the voluntary community and faith sector, our health and education partners, councillors across all parties. Team Doncaster only works when everyone plays their part. If we match the ambition of this strategy with the same spirit of partnership that has created it, we will deliver safer streets, stronger neighbourhoods, better jobs and healthier lives. Let's back this strategy today and get on with the work, street by street, ward by ward, so Doncaster's people, places and planet can truly thrive. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The DDT Borough Strategy refresh has been proposed and seconded. We shall now move to a vote to approve the DDT Borough Strategy and refresh. Can I remind members not to press the buttons until I have opened the vote, and please be aware that your vote will not count when the vote has been closed. Please either press green to vote yes, red to vote no, and white to abstain. I am now opening the vote. Okay, I will now close the vote. So the scores on the doors, 27 in favour, 18 abstentions and 4 against. So that it is passed and carried. So thank you for that. Item 8, Director of Public Health Report 2025. Can I invite the Director of Public Health, Rachel Leslie, to present a 2025 annual report to the Council. Rachel, please. And you've got a 10-minute slot. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes. Will it show me as being Scott Focus if I use the other one? I'll be Neil. That's fine. Okay, thank you, Chair. We're working now. It sounds like we are. Directors of Public Health have a statutory duty to write and publish an independent Director of Public Health annual report each year, and that can be on a topic of their choosing. This year's DPH annual report, or 2025's DPH annual report, is around understanding the health and wellbeing experiences and needs of Doncaster's LGBTQ+ people and communities. I selected this topic for a few reasons. It was just 2 years ago when I was sat here in full council presenting my DPH annual report on young people's health and well-being. And I was asked a question about what contributed to the good and poor health of LGBTQ+ young people. Luckily, for the first time, the 2021 census had routinely collected data on people's sexual orientation and on their gender. So for the first time ever, we were able to use data about LGBTQ+ health needs. At the same time, we started a health needs assessment for LGBTQ+ people. And you'll probably remember as well that Doncaster was selected in 2024 to be the site of National Pride Festival. I've approached this year's DPH annual report through using the needs assessment details that was published just last year. I've also employed a number of research methods that we described in last year's DPH annual report, which was around the health determinants research collaboration. Included in the report is an appendix around story circles, and those were used to have discussions and to talk to LGBTQ+ residents in Doncaster about their experiences of health and wellbeing services. I thank as well areas that have shared examples with us, services, our Doncaster Council staff network, outreach services that have been developed and formed, and also our own Doncaster Youth Council, who published a young person's guide to pride. As you look through the report, you'll see that it focuses on 6 themes. They are mental health and well-being, social connections and belonging, health behaviours and the environments and the attitudes that shape them for LGBTQ+ people, young people, stigma, discrimination and feeling safe, and access to healthcare and public services. Within the DPH annual report as well, you'll spot some familiar items, those of you that have received the DPH annual report before. There is a data section and also the description of the use of the Public Health Ring Fence Grant. First of all, before I move on to the 3 recommendations, I wanted to thank again the contributors, those Doncaster residents that have shared their stories with us through the story circles. I want to thank the services that have shared the examples of what they've built up to support their patients and their residents that they support. And I wanted to thank as well our own communications team for again putting together an attractive report. We've had so much information shared with us, and alongside the report, we'll be dedicating one of our public health web pages to share some more richness of information. And through that, we've been able to build a stronger bond with police, particularly around hate aspects as well. So just moving on to the 3 areas of recommendation. The first is around improving data and intelligence on LGBTQ+ people and other marginalised communities in Doncaster. This is around improving the data collection that services have in place, reviewing and improving our joint strategic needs assessments so we have a high quality receptacle of data around all of our communities, and also to continue to employ those research methodologies, so the story circles, community forums and approaches of appreciative inquiry. The second recommendation is around progressing the relational and trauma-informed ways of working. That includes supporting staff and using things like our community-centred approaches training. It's around health services, really focusing on that people working with people aspect. So how do they design and develop their services to be truly inclusive and removing those systematic barriers that some of our residents told us about. And continuing to co-produce with our socially excluded communities as well. And we've got some good examples. I know some of you have been able to be involved with the women's health conferences and also with some of that focus work with people who are addicted to substances. My final recommendation is around moving beyond Pride Month to create safe and inclusive communities in and for Doncaster. That includes LGBTQ+ visibility in our strategies and in our commissioning approaches. It includes continuing to focus on choose kindness for Doncaster. And lastly using our compassionate approaches to health and well-being as well. Thank you again, members of full council, for reading and accepting my DPH annual report for this year, and happy to receive any comments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor James Church, as portfolio holder for Neighbourhoods Planning and Public Health, I understand you wish to propose this report. Councillor Church, please.
Chair, thank you. Yes, I do. In Doncaster, we are committed to improving the health and well-being of every resident. The report presented by our Director of Public Health describes how some LGBTQ+ Doncaster residents and communities can face additional barriers to good mental and physical health. I commend the commitment to the annual publication of the Director of Public Health report and the work that the Public Health and Communications team put in throughout the year to produce an evidence-based led report that is vibrantly presented for a wide audience, including all members of Council. Importantly, the annual DPH report provides a professional and impartial voice to inform local decision making, with the independence of the DPH ensuring that the content and recommendations are grounded in evidence, data and insight about the experiences of our communities. Last year's report made recommendations about research, skills which have supported the story circle methods that public health have used to gain a strong insight across six themes areas presented in this report and described by Rachel today. Excuse me. The report's recommendations set a context for the Council and every other Team Doncaster partners to continue to address health inequalities for LGBTQ+ people and other groups and communities that may still experience stigma. We must also strengthen the cohesion in our community by embedding respect, kindness, compassion into everyday actions, policies and services. My thanks again to Rachel and the team on the work to compile and publish the 2025 DPH annual report. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any councillor wish to second this? Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Chair. I second this report wholeheartedly. In my cabinet role, member role, I have a specific duty and interest around equalities and inclusion. Focusing efforts on improving the health and well-being of LGBTQ+ people isn't about giving special treatment. It's about recognising where inequalities still exist and taking responsibility. Compassionate action to close these gaps. When any group in our community faces barriers to access healthcare, support or simply the freedom to live openly and safely, we all feel the impact. By continuing to be committed to delivering inclusive services, listening to lived experiences and championing dignity for all, we build a healthier, kinder and more resilient community. That's something every Doncaster resident benefits from, and I'd like to thank Rachel and team for compiling this report. I think it is an excellent report, and hopefully more people are going to see this. Thank you.
Thank you. If any member wishes to speak on this item, please press your button once and once only. Your request to speak will be identified on the system. If you press your button at any time after you initially request to speak, this will cancel your request. May I remind members to mute your microphones when you have concluded speaking. If there are a lot of members wishing to speak, I will allow 3 questions to be put, and then I will ask Rachel to respond before seeking further questions. Councillor Cobby, please.
Thank you, Chair. We must always strive to have a better understanding of the people we serve, and that needs to be done across all those who are socially excluded within our communities. And in respect of the public health, that approach will help to tackle health inequalities, reduce stigma and allow people to feel confident that they can access the care and support they need and deserve. And while this excellent report focuses on LGBTQ+ residents, we want everyone to feel valued. And this approach can also be further evidenced with the additional resources and funding that was announced in July last year to support 13 promises, including military veterans, isolated rural communities, young people and improved school readiness for social excluded families. It is only right that everyone should be able to pursue their own health goals and be supported by society without judgment or assumptions. The stark data in this report shows that a small section of our community face disproportionate disadvantage in their everyday lives, which impact their health and well-being. The statistics on mental health, negative experiences in NHS settings and suicide rates are truly awful, and this needs to change. But for me, the level of hate crime, violence and intolerance towards a fellow human being is disgusting and has no place in our society. Therefore, I'm supporting this proposal today.
Rachel, do you want to reply to Councillor Covey?
Just thank you for your comments. Councillor Cobby, as a Director of Public Health, one of my other duties is around approaching, tackling health inequalities as well. It's important that we take opportunities to shine light on different marginalised communities across Doncaster. I just wanted again to draw the attention, so I am, as Director of Public Health, your principal advisor on all health issues, supported by a really able and knowledgeable public health team. One of the recommendations about improving the Joint Strategic Needs Assessment is also that commitment to understanding our communities better and using those techniques as well. You have a link in your DPH annual report to our Joint Strategic Needs Assessment. It will show as well all of the health needs assessments that we've published over the last few years as well. So thank you, Councillor Cobby.
Thank you, Rachel. Councillor Church, as you proposed the annual report, do you wish to exercise your right of reply?
Chair, I just welcome the comments from my colleagues, Councillor Farmer and Councillor Cobby. Again, thank you to Rachel, and I think it's an excellent report. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Rachel, for your report. The Director of Public Health Statutory Annual Report 2025 has been received and noted. Is that agreed? Thank you. The report is received and noted. Thank you. Item 9. Appointments of Chair and Vice Chair positions on committees. This item was deferred from our last meeting of Council. The report confirms further changes to memberships of committees and subcommittees as advised by Councillor Hughes on behalf of Reform UK, and proposes appointments to the Chair of Audit Committee, the Elections and Democratic Structures Committee and the Employee Resolutions Disputes Committee, as well as the Vice Chair of Chief Officer Appointments Committee. In dealing with this report, I will take nominations detailed in the report pack at page 166 as a block recommendation, apart from the Chair of Elections Democratic Structure Committee, as there are 2 nominations for this position, and we will consider that appointment separately. Before I ask Council to vote on the recommendations in the report and the Chair and Vice Chair positions detailed, does any member wish to speak on this item? Okay, thank you. Is there a proposal to agree the recommendations in the report, note the additional changes to committee memberships and agree proposals to appoint chairs and vice chairs to those committees detailed within the report, apart from the Chair of the Elections and Democratic Structures Committee, which we will determine shortly? Councillor Hughes, yes. Okay, is that, hold on a second, is that seconded? Okay, thank you. And is that agreed? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the appointment of the Chair of the Elections and Democratic Structures Committee, we have 2 nominations for this position. We will vote on the nominations in alphabetical order, voting first for Councillor Nick Allen and then for Councillor John Reid. Can I remind members to not press your buttons until I have opened the vote? Then please be aware that your vote will not count when the vote has been closed. You should only vote once for a candidate of your choice by pressing the green button. We are not asking for no votes or abstentions, so there is no requirement to press any other button. So, if you are supporting Councillor Reid, you press green on the first vote. On the second vote, don't vote for anybody if you've already voted, I think. Is that right? Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. Hold on. I've got it wrong way around.
So you only voted for Councillor Allen at this point. If you voted for Councillor Allen, you press your green button. If you vote for Councillor Reid, don't touch anything.
Right, that's correct. Yes. So, if you're voting for Councillor Allen, press your green button and don't press anything else. Thank you. Right. So, I will open the vote. Yes, so you're just voting, if you want to vote for Councillor Reid, then you press your green button.
No.
Oh, sorry, I'll tell you what, I will pass it over to Scott because I'm confused.
No,
Sorry.
Can we?
We get a mic to it.
Here's mine. Sorry, guys, sorry. Yeah, we do.
Okay, so if we're taking this in alphabetical order. So if you are voting for Councillor Allen, you will press your green button in a second. If you are voting for Councillor Reid or you don't know what you're doing, then don't press anything. And then we'll move on to Councillor Reid. If you're voting for Councillor Reid, at that point, you will press your green button. And if you're a Councillor Allen camp, you won't press anything. So we'll go Councillor Allen first, press green. Then we'll do a second vote, Councillor Reid, and at that point you'll press green if that's your intention.
Is that clearer? Clearer than I tried to explain it. Right, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it'll all be reset. Okay. It will be in a second. Okay, let's go. We're closing the vote on the first vote. So that's 11 votes. Okay, so now we move. We move on to the second vote, please. Thank you. So, we'll do some mutterings, are we okay? No. So 17 for Councillor Reid, 11 for Councillor Allen, so Councillor Reid is appointed. Item 10, overview and scrutiny update, May to December 2025. The Chair of Overview, can I have a point of order, please? Thank you. The Chair of Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee, Councillor Carl Hughes, will introduce and propose this report. Councillor Hughes, thank you.
Thank you. Chair, Mayor, members, I'm pleased to formally update Council on the work undertaken by the Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee and the 4 scrutiny panels between May and December 2025. Following the election of 39 new councillors in May, many members have welcomed the opportunity to engage in overview and scrutiny. Ensuring non-executive members are able to hold decision makers to account, provide constructive challenge and contribute ideas for improvement is fundamental to good governance and better outcomes for residents. During this initial 6-month period, many new members have been developing their understanding of the scrutiny process and their wider responsibilities as councillors. This has been supported by officer briefings, peer support from more experienced members and external input, including planned training through the local government association. This investment in capability is important and will continue. Over this period, Overview and Scrutiny has considered a range of statutory plans and strategies, including the Youth Justice Plan, the Borough Strategy, Tenancy Strategy and Dementia and Carers Strategy. Scrutiny panels have also examined frontline services such as waste management, recycling and street scene, including the operational and financial challenges they face. Engagement with partners, the Youth Council and individuals with lived experience has helped ensure a broader range of perspectives informs scrutiny activity. Alongside this, OSMC has placed increased emphasis on financial sustainability and risk, including scrutiny of the medium-term financial strategy, quarterly finance performance reports, use of reserves, and the scale and prioritisation of the capital programme. Members will be aware that significant financial pressures remain, particularly within demand-led services, and scrutiny has sought clarity on the assumptions, mitigations, and longer-term implications of current approaches. The committee has also treated SEND and the DSG high needs block as a standing area of concern, recognising that demand growth and placement costs present structural risks that require more than short-term management. In relation to major projects and capital investment, scrutiny has begun to focus more closely on deliverability, affordability, and alignment with outcomes residents experience, recognising the scale of the current capital programme and the importance of prioritisation. A key issue identified during this period has been member access to information, which is fundamental to effective scrutiny and democratic accountability. Concerns have been raised about consistency and clarity of access in practice. As a result, I have recommended a members' access to information protocol be drafted to assist members' understanding of that important issue. I also became aware that an overview and scrutiny protocol was agreed in 2012, but has over time fallen out of use. I am looking at undertaking some work to refresh and re-establish this to support a wider understanding of the overview and scrutiny process and assist members in discharging their duties effectively. To support continuous improvement, I have established regular meetings with scrutiny officers, chairs and vice-chairs to improve coordination across the scrutiny function and strengthen forward planning. Looking ahead, overview and scrutiny will continue a busy programme, including responding to the Mayor's budget proposals, further scrutiny of corporate finance and performance, monitoring progress on the reopening of Doncaster Sheffield Airport, and identifying priority topics for the 2026-27 work programmes. Mayor Jones, in her opening statement, mentioned the lease agreement currently in the public eye through recent press releases. I want to assure this council and the people of Doncaster you will receive a thorough and detailed answer to those questions in the form of OSMC scrutiny on that very subject. A key priority will be ensuring scrutiny engagement takes place as early as possible in policy and financial development. Finally, I'd like to thank members, partners, stakeholders, officers, the Youth Council and members of the public who continue to contribute to the overview and scrutiny in Doncaster. I formally present this update for Council's information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Does any member wish to second the report? Okay. Oh, was that you, Rachel? Did you? Who's seconding it? Okay. Councillor Wood, please. That's perfect. So now we're going down to people who wish to speak. So again, just press your red button and I will call you out in order. The first person is Councillor Steve Cox, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Chair of Scrutiny. It may be a point of order within this, and it is about Airport City. As Carl's just said about the information sharing, etc., there is information that's come out recently that may or may not be correct. We don't know, we haven't seen it. But the information pack that was given was heavily redacted. We haven't got a clue what it was. It would be nice to know who was privy to that information in decision making, why we didn't get that information, why all of the information was delivered by the Chief Executive, and not the person whose name's on it. Answers to that need to come out before we can do anything else. It's just an absolute shambles. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. I would like to point out that again that I don't feel that's a point of order, because a point of order is about the procedure within this meeting, and it's not. And it's a fair question, and your question can be looked at later. Councillor Nicola Brown, please.
Sorry, is it just going to ask a question? I'm not sure if it is a. Oh, sorry. Later. Later. Thank you.
So questions need to be in context of the report that Councillor Hughes has presented. Councillor Jane Cox, please.
The point of order is for paragraph 21 of the report, because that alludes to the fact that a decision was made by full council and various other people on the information given. Now, if it transpires the information given wasn't accurate, then surely that is the point of order, because we are not procedurally correct. That is the process. Where it starts and where it ends is irrelevant. It's the middle bit that we're interested in, and that's the process, surely.
Okay, thank you. I will seek the guidance of Scott for this, please.
A point of order is an opportunity to raise a concern about how the meeting is being run in relation to the council procedure rules. It's a council procedure rule that you need to cite, not a paragraph within a report. The report is to receive, so the item today is to receive a report about the work of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee that's taken place during the past 6 months. I appreciate that from what's been said during the past 90 minutes or so, that councillors have concerns about matters in the press. That is not on the agenda today, other than the specific questions that are on there and the opportunity to ask questions of the Mayor later on, if there is sufficient time to do that. Councillor Hughes has said within his opening remarks that he wants Overview and Scrutiny to consider the airport decision and the run-up to that. That would be an opportunity for you to exercise those concerns that you're suggesting now. Not this item now. This item really is about receiving that report about the work that's been done by the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. And I would probably add that the details within that report about what work has been done does not actually focus on the lease that was signed in 2024. But I know that's in the press at the moment, and I can understand why you would have questions around that. But it's not a point of order.
Thank you, Scott. And I tend to agree that it's not a point of order. However, the next person on my list to speak about the Overview and Scrutiny report is Councillor Steve Cox.
Thank you, Chair. I think what, and I don't know if Chair will agree with me, and members of scrutiny, is that what we're supposed to scrutinise is evidence-based. If that evidence isn't there and it's not being shown to us, how can we make a decision? If that information has been withheld, why has it been withheld? It needs to be revisited and debated in full. The allegations of it being connected to planning and therefore amending the local plan was something that I had said previously. Council. And before I finish, I'm sorry, but just 1 second, Chair, please, I promise.
I've got a proper point of order.
All I want to say is that when I was told off in a room by the Chief Executive about making a comment in planning,
okay.
Why?
Right, okay. I don't think that is the correct procedure, ethos, anything to call people out about things like, and I won't have that. And my point of order on myself is that you've spoken twice and you shouldn't have done. So, no, you don't need to leave. You don't need to leave. No, well, if you want to, you can. So, apologies, Chair, for getting that bit wrong. Councillor Hughes, bearing in mind you've got a right to reply. We've not got that yet, but you will. I will invite you once everybody's had their right to speak. and as it would happen, nobody else has put their hand up. So, Councillor, use your right to reply, please.
Remind people what scrutiny is all about. Scrutiny is the function of scrutiny, Chair, is to receive information from anyone. That's members of the public. All the public in Doncaster can contact this council and ask to speak to the Chair of OSMC about any issue that they want raising. Cabinet members can do so. The Mayor can do so. All members can do so. Approach the Cabinet, approach the Chair of OSMC to look into something. That's what that committee is there for. So it's not something that I may go searching for, looking into something, but everyone in this borough can say something to me that they want looking into. And it's always, if it's current news, old news, something that's in the past, it can be dealt with, it can be looked into. That's why OSMC are there. So please, I encourage everybody and anyone listening to use it for what it is. It's to look into issues that you believe need scrutinising. It's as simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you. The report has been proposed and seconded. Is that agreed? Thank you. Yes, Councillor Dennis.
Thing is, you're all grown, but I'm actually going to read it from the Constitution so you all know about it. We've heard already there's been several points of order, both from new members and old members, who aren't clear on the point of order process. So I'll quote it from the Council's Constitution. Point 18.13. A member may raise a point of order at any time. The Chair will hear them immediately. A point of order may only relate to an alleged breach of these council procedure rules or the law. The member must indicate.
Councillor Dennis, that's not a point of order. I would, and I'm all for, trying to share procedural correctness, but I think we have Scott for that. And there's been quite a few points of order today, and I think, it's been a little bit of learning for all of us, and I apologise for the member who had to wait 28 minutes earlier on. However, I think it's very clear that the agenda is the agenda, and we work through the agenda, and we don't sidetrack from that, and we stick to that. And there's no facility for it to be a free-for-all, open, share your concerns, complaints or grumps. There is a procedure at the end where questions can be asked unannounced, and I think that's probably the correct place. And so I think moving on, we'll work to that. But thank you for everybody's indulgence, and it has been quite an interesting meeting in terms of point of order learning, and I'm sure that if groups want clarity or further information, then governance officers can provide that for everybody, so that moving forward we all have the correct point of order. I think that, there is quite a lot of time. We do talk about a lot of things. It's easy to get distracted and sidetracked, but I think it's our role to try to focus on that and keep within the bounds of the agenda. So thank you for that. Now, where are we? Item 11. Proposed diary meetings of 26-28. This report details provisional diary of meetings for the 26 to 28 municipal years. The final version will be presented to full council at annual meeting in May 2026 for final approval. Does any member wish to speak on this matter? Thank you. Are all the recommendations noted? Oh, sorry, Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Chair. It needs reading again, because there's some council meetings where deadlines for minutes are due in twice before meetings. So I think something like 30th of July is one example. But if you go through them, it's as though we've copied and pasted from last year. Okay, thank you for that observation, and that is noted, and that'll looked at. Thank you. Councillor Rimmer.
Can I suggest that an extraordinary meeting is arranged in the immediate future for the press release that's out today?
I'm not sure about procedural for that. I will ask Scott to advise.
There's a process set out in the there's a process set out in the Constitution, Councillor Rimmer, which I know that your group is already aware of, as how to call an extraordinary meeting. And if any group wishes to do that, then they may do so. It's set out in the Constitution. I can give you the number outside, but unless Councillor Dennis wants to find it for me at the moment. Sorry. We can give you that afterwards, but I do know that members of your group are already aware of how to do that if it was your group that wished to do that, and we can provide the form and various things outside if that's what you wish to do. Hope that assists.
Thank you for that guidance. So, back to the report. Are there recommendations noted, and is that agreed? Thank you. Item 12, motion on notice. Colleagues, we will see there are two motions on notice on today's agenda. The first motion is being proposed by Councillor Gemma Cobby. Councillor Cobby, would you like to introduce your motion, please?
Thank you, Chair. Colleagues, I would first like to thank you for your overwhelming support at September's full council on the motion to protect the number of IVF cycles offered in South Yorkshire. I am proud that this important issue received strong cross-party support, as this reduction could significantly impact several residents across Doncaster and to those closer to you, such as friends, family or colleagues, even knowingly or not. However, sadly today I have had to bring another motion to this council for your consideration. On December the 3rd, 2025, despite over 1,700 responding to the consultation, which included feedback from several residents across the county, 2 councils, including this one, and a number of MPs who are overwhelmingly, for the right reasons, opposed to the proposal, with many sharing personal stories of why 2 and more cycles are needed, South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board continued to reduce the number of cycles to 1. The reasons for that decision was decided by unelected practitioners was to save a small cost of $400,000 and to be aligned with other regional care boards. Colleagues, this decision is scandalous. Not only did the general public and elected officials saw this as an overwhelmingly poor proposal and notably enabled some to reflect on their own personal trauma who shared their fertility journey in the consultation, but the equality and health inequality impact assessment, which the board considered the proposal, and I quote, as having a high negative and disproportionate impact on several protected and vulnerable populations groups living in South Yorkshire, which includes women, people and families on low incomes and those living in high areas of socio-economic deprivation, and to note where 40% of people in South Yorkshire live in the most deprived communities and are therefore less able to self-fund private infertility treatment. The National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, NICE, which is the guidance for ICBs, recommends women under 40 years to be offered up to 3 cycles and 1 cycle for women aged 40 to 42 years. In addition, it was only last week in the council seminar, councillors were told about the growing impact of an ageing population and the low birth rates that may highly impact our cost of service delivery to adult social care in the future if we do not have the population to financially and support the ageing demographics. Therefore, I publicly ask why South Yorkshire Integrated Care Pod are more interested in pursuing a postcode lottery than considering the rights and the future of residents in South Yorkshire. I therefore have called this motion to place this public body to be accountable for their decision, as this is not the first time the Care Board has impacted on services in Doncaster, recently highlighted by a campaign of Doncaster residents and Doncaster Central MP Sally Jameson for improvements to the audiology service that was initially suspended by the Trust and the ICB. I am asking for your support to a request for a national review of ICBs to the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care Restoration in relation to their decision-making process on vital services and for further funding towards fertility and women's health services, including a request for national standard of free IVF cycles to be offered across the NHS to end the postcode lottery on fertility. In addition, to seek a public direct response from South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board on the quality, sustainability, equality and health equality impact assessment, and to share the details on the outcome of the vote, with a review to be made into existing and accessible health fertility services available to residents in South Yorkshire in consideration of the public outcry on the undemocratic decision made. Finally, I ask Chair for a recorded vote on this issue, as we are requesting this information from the ICB in relation to their decision. Thank you.
Councillor Farmer, I understand you wish to second this motion. Do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Chair. I'm proud to second this motion. Colleagues, the facts before us are stark. On the 3rd of December, the South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board took the decision to cut IVF provision from 2 cycles to 1 for residents of Doncaster and South Yorkshire. This is despite an consultation response opposing the proposal, despite warnings in their own quality, sustainability, equity and health inequalities impact assessment, and despite the voices of elected representatives, health watch organisations and both Doncaster and Sheffield councils. That assessment was clear. The change will have a high negative impact excuse me, people are coughing in here. When people stop coughing. That assessment was clear. This change will have a high negative and disproportionate impact on our most vulnerable groups, including people on low incomes and residents in our most deprived communities, where may simply cannot afford private IVF treatment. Let's be honest, the decision creates a postcode lottery where the ability to start a family becomes a privilege for those who cannot pay rather than be rooted in fairness and compassion. National guidance from the National Institute of Health and Care Excellence recommend up to 3 cycles for women under 40 and 1 cycle recommended for those aged 40 to 42. Yet here in South Yorkshire, we are moving further away from evidence-based best practice. And all this for a saving of just 400,000. A sum that is tiny in scale of NHS budgets and minuscule compared to the emotional costs, mental health consequences and long-term demand created when people are denied a fair route to parenthood. This motion sets out a constructive, practical way forward. We are calling for a letter to the Secretary of State and the ICB requesting transparency, accountability, a review of fertility provision, clear explanation of decision-making and, importantly, the reinstatement of fair access to IVF. This is measured, responsible and absolutely necessary. Colleagues, fertility is not a luxury. It is healthcare and it is life-changing. Our residents deserve better than a system that ignores evidence, dismisses the consultation responses and widens inequality. I am proud to second this motion and I urge all members to support it today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Farmer. Does any member wish to speak on this matter? Mayor Ross, please.
Thank you, Chair. I strongly oppose the South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board decision to cut the number of IVF cycles from 2 to 1 across South Yorkshire. I would like to provide Council with a personal story from Emma and Liam. In the words of Emma, for as long as I can remember, I never wanted any children, not actually knowing that I couldn't have any. Then I met my forever partner and knew that I wanted to start a family. We tried for over a year and a half. It was a roller coaster of emotions, monthly negative tests, lots of tears, and hearing that friends were pregnant were the hardest part. I was so happy for them, but at the same time feeling hurt, jealous and upset. I then went to the doctors and did several blood tests. The results confirmed that I was perimenopausal and would struggle to conceive. They referred us to the fertility clinic where we started the process of IVF. After what seemed like the longest year and a half, lots of forms to fill in, documents to sign and test scans to be carried out, months of medication and hormone injections, we finally got our turn to have our first round of IVF, which was unsuccessful. We were heartbroken. We, of course, wanted to try again with the second round of IVF. We had to go through the whole process of completing more forms, signing more documents, more tests carried out, medication and hormones to be taken again. A year later, we were having our second round of IVF. We then had to wait 2 weeks to find out if it had been successful or not. This felt like the longest 2 weeks of our lives. We went to the fertility clinic for a blood test to confirm the outcome. We thought we'd find out there and then, but they had to send the test off and we had to wait for a phone call with the results. We finally got the phone call 4 hours later to confirm that it was successful and that we were pregnant. It was the best phone call we had ever had and received, and were lots of happy tears. Just over 8 months later, and following over 30 hours in labour with emergency forceps, we were blessed with a little girl weighing at 5.6 pounds, our tiny little miracle. She was worth all the wait, and I would do it all again in a heartbeat. We were so very lucky to have the option of a second round of IVF, and will be forever grateful for our little family. I would like to thank Emma and Liam for sharing their story with me, highlighting the personal, emotional impact that IVF has had for them and their successful second round of IVF treatment, delivering a healthy and happy little baby girl. She is doing incredibly well, is now 8 months old. As a mother and a grandmother, I fully support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Nicola Brown, please.
Yeah, I want to support this motion. I did last time. It's precious having children. I don't think people should lose out just because they've not got money. And we need to have more children. Like Gemma said, we've got an ageing population. So I'll support the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Rachel Reid, please.
Thank you, Chair. Although I will support the motion, we would like to propose an amendment to that motion.
Could that be circulated so that people can have sight of it? Are we okay to stay in chamber and read it, or do we need to adjourn? General consensus? We'll stay where we are. Yes. Yes, yes, we can. Although I did ask, and nobody said anything. But before we do that, I'd like to ask Councillor Reid to introduce her amendment, now that people have had sight of it. Seconded. I can call you in when it's time, but I will call you in. Okay. So.
Apologies, it will be Councillor David Carroll that is proposing it. I'm going to second that motion. Amendment, sorry.
Okay, it's just that when I spoke to you first. Okay. Councillor Carroll, then, please, would you like to introduce your amendment?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Amendment doesn't try to overrule anyone, and it doesn't pretend that the council controls NHS commissioning. What it does ask for is something that's much more basic, much more important, which is an explanation. If IVF provision is being reduced, then the public deserves to know why. You know, was it purely financial? What, if anything else, was actually cut? So what options, were also rejected, and how was the consultation responses and equality impacts actually weighted? If the ICB is confident in its decision, it should have no difficulty in coming to scrutiny to explain themselves. And the amendment doesn't demand an outcome, it just demands transparency. This is exactly what the council's scrutiny function is for. Rebuttal 2, this has already been discussed elsewhere. Regional committees looking at an issue doesn't remove this council's duty to scrutinise decisions that affect Doncaster residents. This isn't about rerunning another meeting. It's about local accountability and local impact. And if members believe in transparency, evidence and proper scrutiny, then this amendment should be supported. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. So, Councillor Carroll has proposed an amendment to the motion. Does any member wish to second this motion?
I am happy to second this amendment. It's important to be clear, this does not seek to overturn NHS decisions or overstep the Council's powers. It simply asks for transparency. A reduction in IVF provisions has real impacts on residents, and people deserve to understand the financial basis for that decision, what alternatives were considered and how consultation and equality impacts were weighed. If the ICB is confident in its decision, then explaining it openly to scrutiny should not be a problem. This amendment is reasonable, proportionate and exactly what scrutiny exists to do, and I urge members to support it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. An amendment to the motion has been proposed and seconded. Does any member wish to speak further on this amendment? Remember, we are speaking on the proposed amendment rather than the substantive motion. Or do we require an adjournment to proper look at it in away from the chamber? Okay, so 10 minutes then. So if we come back at 20 past, thank you. Please be seated, everybody. Thank you. An amendment to the motion has been proposed and seconded. Before we vote on the amendment, could I ask Councillor... Oh, a second. No, I've got my wrong paragraph. An amendment to the motion has been proposed and seconded. Does any member wish to speak further on the amendment? Remember, we are speaking on the proposed amendment rather than the substantive motion. And Councillor Knight has pressed the button.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everybody here. Just a point of thought here was that the SYIB had a bit severe budget cut, which came to about 400 million cut, and that was one thing I wanted to raise. But also, secondly, when there are considerations about the ICB costs, and which I think Jeb is fully aware of, each session of IVF costs an average of £10,000. And obviously with the severe cuts and the cost of an IVF, I can see where they're coming from. But in this particular instance, I thoroughly support this amendment and look forward to seeing a proposal to move it forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. It's not on here. Councillor Cobby, you're down. Do you want to do your right of reply, or are you asking a question to yourself? No, there's nobody else to speak. So at that point, then it's not on there. Councillor Isbeck, are you down to speak? Ah, okay, right. Thank you. Because your name's not on there. So I'm here, aren't I? So amendment of motion has been proposed and seconded. Before we vote on the amendment, can I ask Councillor Cobby and Councillor Carroll if they... Sorry, Cobby wishes to exercise the right of reply on the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think think any way to increase the number of cycles is worth doing, but I will note some of the points asking on there. The information was provided through the consultation document that they released publicly in July last year, and also as Councillor Knight, he was one of the Adult Social Care Scrutiny chairs who was invited to the South Yorkshire Joint Health Scrutiny, so I know they scrutinised that in depth as well, so just to make a note. And also, I think the only way to end the postcode lottery is not through local, but also national for government, and this is where our original motion says that we need to push with the State Secretary of Health to get end the postcode lottery for fertility and other health services as well.
Thank you, Councillor Cubby. Before we move to the vote on the amendment, Councillor Cobby has asked for a recorded vote. So can I take a consensus on whether people want to do a recorded vote? Okay, thank you. So when we come round to that, that's what we'll do. Thank you for that. So we shall now move to vote on the amendment to the motion. Can I remind members not to press your buttons until I have opened the vote? And please be aware that your vote will not count when the vote has closed. Please either press green button for yes, red button for no, or the white button to abstain. I am now opening the vote. Okay, I will close the vote. So the motion has been agreed, 44 votes in favour and no abstentions and 1 against. So, yes, so that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but that's because we've amended it in between. So we're now going on to discuss that now becomes a substantive motion as opposed to the one previously, and that's now what we have to discuss. So does any member now wish to speak on the newly adopted motion? Councillor Riesbeck, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say I think it's a disgraceful decision by the South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board. It punishes the poorer in our society, and it punishes couples who, through no fault of their own, cannot have children without medical help. And for that reason, I wholeheartedly back the motion.
Thank you. Does any other member wish to speak on this item? Okay, thank you. There are no further requests to speak. I will. So, Councillor Cubby, have you got a right to reply?
No, Chair.
We will now vote on the substantive motion. Again, can I remind members not to press your buttons until I've opened the vote. Please be aware that your vote will not count when the vote has been closed. Yes, sorry, Scott's asked to speak.
Sorry, there appears to be some confused faces. Councillor Cobby proposed a motion. Councillor Carroll and seconded by Councillor Reid proposed an amendment. We voted on the amendment. The amendment then becomes the substantive motion. In theory, there could now be further amendments. It doesn't appear as though there are. But what we now need to do is to formally approve that motion, which has now been amended. So it's the one that looks like the original one with the additional text that was provided by Councillor Carroll. I know this is slightly odd. It's just the way that it goes. And because the mover of the original motion was Councillor Cobby, it remains Councillor Cobby's motion despite the fact that there's now additional text to it. So it's always the mover of the original motion who gets the right of reply. That always confuses everyone. Certainly, previous colleague always got confused by that. But it's always the original person's, or the original mover of the motion's right of reply at the end. So we're now in the point whereby you're going to vote on that text that we've approved already, effectively. Okay.
Thank you. We'll move now to vote on the motion. Can I remember members not to press their buttons until I've opened the vote? Please be aware that your vote will not count when the vote is closed. Please either press green for yes, red for no, or white to abstain. And I will now open the vote. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We'll close the vote. Again, so it's 44 in favour, 1 abstention and 1 against. So that motion is now carried. Thank you. Thank you. Item 13 is a further motion.
Sorry, is it possible, because I'm looking at the time and we're going to be way over, is it possible that I can defer this motion so we can get on to questions? Would that be possible?
Okay, Chamber, thank you. I've sought advice and guidance, and we are of the opinion that the person putting the motion forward can defer that to a further meeting, but that has to be with the consensus of the Chamber. So, is there a proposer for that? Councillor Wood, and there is a seconder for that? Oh, numerous. I'll pick you, Councillor Hughes, because you're the nearest to my side. Is that agreed? Okay. With that in mind, we will move swiftly on to item 14. Before we move on to questions to elected members, can I remind everyone that Council procedure rules state that the question time is limited to an hour. Due to the number of questions on the agenda and the potential for supplementary questions without notice, can I ask members are concise and to the point, and when answering questions, this will ensure a more productive session with a greater opportunity for all members to participate. I will ask Governance Services colleagues for a time check once we have completed questions on notice. Questions on notice to the Executive. There are 6 questions on notice at today's meeting for Mayor Ros Jones. I shall read out the first question from Councillor Nick Allen to Mayor Jones. Many pubs in Doncaster are presently under immense strain due to the economic climate, which includes rising costs. Do you support the recent policy U-turn regarding business rates, which was speculated about earlier this month? The original proposals, which were outlined last year in the budget in autumn, could have devastated our local pubs here in Doncaster by increasing financial pressures and therefore forcing closures. Pubs are a vital part of our local economy and need your support. Mayor Jones, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your question, Councillor Allen. I agree with you that pubs are a vital part of the local economy and need us all to support them. However, can I remind you that it was the previous Conservative government that implemented the temporary reduction in business rates following the COVID pandemic, and that no relief was planned as per Conservative manifesto as of 2024. I am pleased the decision has been made through the announcement of 4.3 billion of funding to help businesses as the relief is phased out. In this government budget in November, 4.3 billion of public money was allocated as transitional support to bridge the gap between the previous COVID temporary changes and where we are before the pandemic. Just to reiterate, what has been said by government is that there is additional support coming from pubs before new rates come into effect in April. This includes protection for businesses who would otherwise have seen sharp increases in the bill from April. Personally, I would like to see fundamental change within the business rate system to benefit traditional town and city centre high streets, to support our pubs, restaurants and small businesses, which also ensuring that supermarkets and online giants pay their fair share of tax. Finally, I agree with you that pubs are a vital part of the local economy and need us all to support them. According to data from the British Beer and Pub Association, between 2010 and 2024, we saw nearly 20% of pubs close across the UK, going from 55,400 in 2010 to 45,000 in 2024, with the highest number of closures in 2017, where nearly 2,000 pubs closed their doors across the country. Pubs are a vital community asset, acting as social hubs that can help combat isolation, foster cohesion and support local culture by providing accessible spaces for face-to-face interaction, hosting community events, supporting local causes and serving as anchors that strengthen local identity and resilience, especially in some of our more remote towns and villages across Doncaster. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Allen, would you like to ask a supplementary question? Thank you. I will now read out the second question from Councillor Guy Aston to Mayor Jones. City of Doncaster Council employees do not have pay parity with neighbouring authorities. Members, staff and unions have consistently expressed concern that lower local salary levels are contributing to recruitment and retention difficulties, which has made the council increasingly reliant on agency workers to maintain essential services. Could the Mayor set out the total amount spent on agency staffing over the last 3 financial years? Mayor Jones, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Aston. The financial information that you requested has been provided to you and will form part of the minutes of the meeting. Within our workforce strategy, we are aiming to reduce agency spend and the use of agency workers. However, there are times where it cannot be avoided. In terms of agency staffing, this is a last resort where there is an urgent need to cover a role or a piece of work. I am pleased to announce that we have made improvements in hard-to-fill areas, such as children and adult social workers, and expecting the usage of agency workers in these areas to continue to reduce. As I stated at full council last July and in November, I was committed to reviewing options in relation to pay restoration, alongside consideration of all budget pressures and as part of my budget proposals. I'm currently finalising my budget proposals for the next financial year, which will be published on the 3rd of February, before being considered at Cabinet on the 11th of February and decided at full council on the 26th of February. I recognise that our staff are the most important valuable asset to our council. They work day in, day out to serve our local people and communities. I understand that pay, retention and recruitment are key to making us an employer of choice. Therefore, as part of my budget proposals, I'm putting forward the proposal for full pay restoration. This will include the full reserve of the 2012 pay cut that was implemented under the previous elected mayor, and for some of the additional terms and conditions that were changed. Full details will be provided as part of my budget proposals, which will be published on the 3rd of February. The gross cost of pay restoration is estimated at circa 8 million, but the net cost is expected to be less than £1 million, as it will be largely funded following revaluation of the South Yorkshire Pension Fund. Implementing pay restoration will assist with recruitment and retention issues and should reduce further agency requirements. Pay restoration has been regularly raised with me over 10 years by people who work here and also trade unions. I made the commitment to regularly keep it under review, reviewing options alongside consideration of all budget pressures as part of my annual budget setting. I do consider the time is right, given our budget plans and for the first multi-year local government financial settlement for over a decade that gives us certainty of funding for the medium term. Implementing pay restoration will tackle some of our current recruitment and retention challenges, alongside reducing the need for agency staff to cover vacant posts. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Councillor Aston, do you have a supplementary question?
Okay. To some extent, the wind has been taken out of my sails by the Mayor's recent announcement on pay restoration, but I do have a question, and I can understand that a large part of agency fees supports the ever-increasing demand on adult and child services. But can the Mayor give me an estimate of just how much could be saved to the current agency fee levels when CDC brings its pay levels into the line with the rest of South Yorkshire? So basically, what's the savings for us?
That actually cannot be estimated at this time. The reason being there's certain parts where we've had agency staff which are one-off and the others are to cover. Generally speaking, as you've got the figures in front of you, are adult and children's services. And therefore, we look to continually to reduce bringing in agency staff, but where there's a vacant post, some of these services are so crucial that you've got to bring someone in. But we will keep you informed of how it goes, and you will see it as we do the monitoring of the budgets as we go through the year also. That also assumes that it goes and my budget gets full approval through full council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. The third question to Mayor Jones is from Councillor Cynthia Ransom. The Planning Committee on the 16th of December 2025 considered an application for a solar farm. It was clear from the representations received in respect of this item that there would be a lot of public interest and many would wish to attend the meeting. Why was the public gallery not open to the public for this agenda item? Many were turned away, leaving them feeling annoyed and frustrated. Many have travelled long distance. At the meeting, there were officers in the gallery, so why was this not the public? Mayor Jones, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Chair. And Councillor Ransom will receive a copy of my response, although she's not here. I received the following response from Democratic Services. We have to accept that every public meeting has an upper capacity limit to ensure the safety of all of those in attendance. Whilst it's not unusual for planning or other meetings to include matters that generate a significant amount of public interest, it is very rare that the area of the chamber set aside for the public is unable to accommodate everyone who wishes to attend. Unfortunately, the meeting you referred to was one of those rare occasions. Whilst there is a balcony in the chamber, it is not designated space available for the public to view meetings for the following reasons. First, security. The balcony is accessed by double doors from the main office space, which is restricted to staff. Unlike the main chamber access on floor 2, there is no secure area for members of the public to wait, leave the meeting, or use the toilets or baby change facilities if required. They would need to be accompanied at all times, which would require additional staff to accompany the public accessing and entering this area, which would be costly and impracticable. Secondly, it would not be appropriate for members of the public to be walking through an office where staff are working, as this could be disruptive and give rise to other issues such as personal safety and security of information, for example, if confidential discussions were taking place. Thirdly, the design of the balcony is not conducive to an appropriate viewing space. The railing at the top of the balcony and the structure of the ceiling lighting make it very difficult to have an unobscured view of all members and meeting proceedings, even when viewing the screens. I understand officers were using the balcony on this occasion as security issues and practicalities of going in and out of the balcony area do not apply to them. On this occasion, the preference was for officers who did not have a direct involvement in the meeting to observe from the balcony rather than take up spaces that were otherwise allocated for members of the public. In future, the governance service team will detail the maximum number of spaces available to the public at council meetings and publish this on the front of the agenda. Where appropriate, they will also liaise with the necessary departments, such as planning, to ensure that where there appears to be significant public interest ahead of a meeting, interested parties can be informed of the maximum number available and any arrangements for securing a place at the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Ransom is absent from today's meeting, so we will ensure that a copy of the response from Mayor Ros is sent out to her following the meeting, as Mayor Ros has already indicated. We will now move on to the next question. The next question to Mayor Ros Jones is from Councillor Joan Briggs. In light of the major projects update report presented on the 20th of November 2025, can the Mayor provide a brief update on progress towards the demolition of the existing Edlington Leisure Centre and the construction of the new £6.9 million facility, including whether timelines and funding remain on track and how residents will be kept informed of key milestones? Mayor Jones.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Briggs. You will, of course, be aware of the changes in specification to deliver a 25-metre pool rather than previously planned 20-metre pool, and the move back to the existing Edlington Leisure Centre site following initial proposals to locate it adjacent to Sir Thomas Wharton Academy. These changes have been necessary and are also based on feedback received from local residents in relation to the desire for a 25-metre pool. We have listened and have acted based on that feedback. The capital investment required was agreed at Cabinet in November last year, which included the decision to demolish the existing leisure centre and construct a 25-metre pool with associated leisure facilities on the site. In relation to demolition of the existing leisure centre, this will be progressed once we have the necessary surveys completed. We are ready to go out to tender on this subject to the surveys, and I will have an update on this in the next few weeks. Once the old site is cleared, we will then be able to finalise the construction timeline. We will, of course, continue to keep you as ward councillors up to date alongside the residents of Edlington. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Briggs, would you like to ask a supplementary question? Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a target date for the demolition to start on the old baths?
That will come in the next few weeks because we're actually doing the investigations on the baths in order to be able to look to start the demolitions. So that can be informed to yourself as soon as we get that, and all the different investment to the council will go alongside that.
Thank you. I will now read out Councillor Jane Cox's question to Mayor Jones. On the 3rd of September 2025, the Council received confirmation from the Civil Aviation Authority that a decision on Doncaster Sheffield Airport's airspace change would not be made until the end of 2026. However, on the 9th of September 2025, the Mayor made public statements implying that airspace approval was not a constraint on reopening. Given the Council has previously passed a motion of no confidence in the Mayor for misleading the public on the airport timescales, will the Mayor explain why her statement did not reflect known CAA advice and whether she accepts this risks a breach of public trust? Mayor Jones.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Cox. I must, however, highlight that your statement is largely a misrepresentation, as if in an attempt to support your own political narrative rather than presenting a fair and accurate reflection of reality. So let me provide you with the facts. I've always stated that there are interdependencies out of control in relation to issues such as airspace and aerodrome certification. The Civil Aviation Authority is an independent organisation, and they will form a view on the progress that has been made against their requirements. They alone will determine whether to assign airspace to DSA. We can commence freight activity before CAA approval, subject to air traffic control, radar and fire safety being in place, alongside the necessary support services. Activity will continue to ramp up significantly in 26 and 27 through into 2028, when the airport will be fully operational. The intention remains for passenger flights to commence for the winter 27-28. I must reiterate what I have said previously in relation to interdependencies that are outside our control. Reopening an airport is not easy, and there will of course be challenges to overcome over the months and years ahead. That is why we are building the team and expertise in order to fully reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport as quickly and safely as possible. We will of course keep timelines under review as we continue to work to fully reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport. We will be bringing a report to Cabinet in March to provide an update on progress, which is in line with the agreement made with the former leader of Reform Group as per the joint statement. I find your sudden concern in relation to potential delays incredulous, since less than 2 months ago you voted against the plan to fully reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport, which would at worst have killed the airport project dead in the water, or at best delayed the project by years, not weeks or months. I would like to highlight what I stated at the beginning of the meeting. Reopening a piece of infrastructure like an airport is a huge undertaking with many complex moving parts. What is happening at DSA represents one of the quickest airport reopening processes ever seen in the UK, something that is only possible if multiple work streams are progressed concurrently. Since I made the announcement of our intention for City of Doncaster Council to reopen the airport, the focus has been on doing this as quickly and safely as possible, while following all necessary legal, financial and regulatory processes, many of which are reliant on third parties, such as the Civil Aviation Authority. Since the decision to confirm Doncaster allocation of gain share funding was taken at the SIMCA board meeting in September 25, work has accelerated significantly. The airport is now in a position whereby we are engaging the leadership team to fulfil vital roles in preparing the site to reopen. This ranges from security, safety and fire personnel through to operations managers and air traffic controllers. With such a safety-critical industry, all of these roles are absolutely vital. Right now, to ensure that we are ready to increase airport operations significantly in the coming months and years. The actions that we are taking now will ensure that the airport is opened in the right way, provides best value to all parties and ensures DSE longevity well into the future. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Councillor Cox, would you like to ask a supplementary question, please?
I'm a little perplexed as I didn't get that answer. I got 4 paragraphs and the mayor seems to have spoken for a lot more than 4 paragraphs. So I can ask a supplementary question, but I didn't have the answer that she's given.
You can ask a supplementary question.
I can, but I didn't have the answer, that's the point. So I'm asking off 4 paragraphs, not the answer.
Well, yeah, I think, you know, the answer question time is 3 minutes, and because people have asking and there's a lot of attention on the airport, I allowed Mayor Ross to speak for longer.
I'm not saying that, Tim. Sorry, Council Chair. I didn't get the answer.
Okay.
I didn't get
so,
a written answer.
Okay.
I only got 1 page, which was 4 paragraphs. That's my point. So
Okay.
I've got a supplementary, but I didn't have the whole answer.
Okay, so do you want to ask your supplementary?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Mayor Ross, I'm unsure how the published facts support my political narrative, or actually my grip of reality. I've always supported the reopening of the airport, but not at any cost to the taxpayer. The Mayor has consistently fed misinformation to the residents of Doncaster on the timescales in order to be re-elected to her position. I will ask her again, does she feel she has misled the public?
I will answer that again and saying reopening a piece of infrastructure like the airport is a huge understanding with many complex moving parts. And what I'm saying to you is this: the allocation of gain share needed to be get, and we now need to move forward and get all the systems in place that we can reopen the airport. So as we get moving parts that are outside our control, we will continue to alter differing things. Some will go forward, some will go back. And therefore, I don't think I've misread the public.
Thank you. The next question is from Councillor Lee Summit to Mayor Ros Jones. Sorry, Councillor Smith, are you wanting a point of order? You've requested to speak? So you can only speak on a point of order? Okay, so it's an accidental one, thank you. So the next question from Councillor Lee Summit to Mayor Ros Jones. Rosington, Bawtry and Austerfield is adjacent to the soon-to-be fully open Doncaster Sheffield Airport, which of course is great that it will be fully reopening. Many residents in our ward have concerns about potential for regular night flights over their homes. Could you provide them and us with an understanding that their concerns will be formally considered?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Summit. I fully understand and appreciate the concerns of residents in relation to night flights, not just in the immediate vicinity of the airport, but across Doncaster. Like you, I take the needs of our residents extremely seriously and recognise the balance of over 130,000 individuals signing a petition in support of DSA and the counterbalance of residents having concerns around regular night flights. The Airport Consultative Committee has been established to act as a conduit for residents to feed any particular issues or concerns they have in relation to airport operations. The first meeting of this group will be the 26th of January 2026 and will discuss the ways of conducting the meeting, interaction with communities and businesses. Ward councillors from Rosington and Bawtry from Finley are important stakeholders and I believe have been invited to the meeting. The independent committee that will consider a range of matters such as community noise and local air quality monitoring as part of the remit, I can of course share the DFT guidelines for ease of reference. Airport consultative committees are structured forums that provide an opportunity for the exchange of information between aerodromes and interested parties. They make recommendations to the aerodrome management and other bodies where appropriate, as well as being a place where there is an opportunity to reach common understanding between interested groups about the nature of the aerodrome operation in the hope that issues can be resolved amicably. We are pushing for the same airspace that DSA had before it closed in November 2022. This would be the safest and most expeditious route for all involved. In relation to night flights, these would need to be in keeping with the local plan requirements. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Councillor Summit, do you have a supplementary?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mayor Ros Jones. Would it be possible to arrange a public meeting in Bawtry with council and airport leaders to reassure the residents of my ward of Rosington, Bawtry and Austerfield?
Thank you, Councillor Summit. As outlined, the Airport Consultative Committee is the appropriate mechanism for engagement, and I encourage you and the general public to engage with this body, and they would be best placed to organise and facilitate a public meeting to deal with the specific concerns in relation to noise and night flights. Of course, we all want to see a successful and profitable, fully reopened Doncaster Sheffield Airport, delivering the jobs and opportunities that will help drive the city of Doncaster forward. As local councillors, you will have a role to play in the Airport Consultative Committee, and I urge you to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now read out Councillor Jason Charity's question to Mayor Jones. Following the June 2024 auction sale of the Doncaster Business Innovation Centre, can the Mayor confirm whether any decisions or actions were taken, directed or influenced by the Mayor or by officers acting on her behalf rather than by the board of the Council's wholly owned company, Arthur Street Doncaster Developments Limited? If so, under what authority did this occur? Who authorised the OS1 priority search on the 19th of August 2024, and what assessment was made of financial exposure to the public purse or third parties? Mayor Jones.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Charity. Arthur Street Development Limited is a private company owned by this council. It has a board of directors, and I would suggest that you direct your questions to them. I understand that the company is engaged in a commercial transaction with a member of the public, and it would be inappropriate for the details of that transaction to be discussed in public. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. I understand, well, yes, Councillor Charity is not here, so we will not have supplementaries and we'll move on. I will now read out the final question to Mayor Jones from Councillor Craig Ward. Can the Mayor explain why contractual provisions linking the Council's continued control of Doncaster Sheffield Airport to approval of Peel's residential housing developments were not disclosed to councillors or the electorate prior to the May 2025 mayoral election? Given the financial and strategic implications for the Council, does the Mayor accept that this omission has damaged public confidence, and what steps will now be taken to restore openness and accountability? Mayor Jones, please.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Ward. I referred to my announcement at the beginning of the meeting, but just to add that this council enters into contracts and agreements with many businesses, and a guiding principle of those arrangements is that they must be dealt with in a commercial, confidential manner. Since the decision by Peel in summer 2022 to close Doncaster Sheffield Airport, I've made it my #1 priority to reopen the airport. A successful airport in our city is the #1 driver for jobs and economic development, and the Save DSA campaign showed the huge support from across Doncaster and the north to save and reopen our airport. As previously stated, planning is a quasi-judicial process that as the directly elected mayor, I cannot get involved with. However, to reiterate, every planning application has to be determined on its own merits and by the planning committee. The role of planning committee is to carry out impartial decision-making on development, focusing on planning merits, not politics, as elected councillors who weigh planning policies, officer recommendations and public input, whether that be objections and or support. Planning committee then have to vote to whether approve or refuse developments. The council's lease with Peel was subject to external legal advice at the time of signing. Commercial confidentiality must of course be ensured, and from my observations, the Doncaster public and the business community want us to get on with reopening the airport rather than having an ongoing debate in this chamber. Thank you for your question.
Thank you for that. Councillor Ward, do you wish a supplementary question? Okay, thank you. At this point, I just wanted to say that we will hit 3 hours at 5:15. And that includes a 15-minute adjournment that doesn't count as part of the 3 hours time. Questions started at 4:35, so I'm going to recommend that we don't have supplementaries, so we can move on. And then at 1:15 we'll decide whether we're going to extend. Okay, so right, thank you for that. So where are we? Okay. We now have 2 questions to Councillor Sue Farmer, Cabinet Member for Children, Young People and Families. The first question is from Councillor Riesbeck. In the light of ongoing disparities in early years foundation stage outcomes across certain wards, which may affect future educational attainment, could the Council outline the measures being taken to improve school readiness, particularly in the areas where outcomes have remained consistently low? Councillor Farmer, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your question, Councillor Riesbeck. The Council recognises the importance of improving school readiness and the impact success here can have on our children's outcomes later in life. We have prioritised this area, and for some time with well-established family hub offer alongside a high-performing early education and childcare sector and effective health visiting offer. Doncaster's foundation stage profile outcomes are broadly in line with national and above for children in receipt of free school meals. Our family hub evolves from what was our Sure Start centres, and this Labour Council has continued to focus on the vital service our family hubs provide. It is worth celebrating that Doncaster has been recognised by government for a number of years as a model of best practice for how family hubs across the country should operate, as we focus on the work around the first 1,001 days and integrated working with communities and GPs. We are, of course, more ambitious than that, and there is now the national focus through the Best Start in Life strategy. To improve outcomes even further, to match our ambition and meet this challenge head-on, we have taken steps locally to strengthen our approach and build the partnerships required to do so. When we talk about need, and it comes in various guises, the need equals consideration. The first is the data for things like ward level outcomes, which you reference. The second is the need for children and families themselves. And from those 2 points, we get a fuller understanding of the need of our workforce across the partnerships needed to address. We have a clear oversight of the needs across Doncaster and understand where the areas of greatest challenge are. Our wards vary from 59% in Stainforth and Barnbydon to 82% in Tickle and Wadworth. Within this, we have a detailed understanding of where the challenges are. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Riesbeck. Do you have a supplementary question?
Time, I'll submit it in.
Okay, thank you for that. The second question to Councillor Sue Farmer would be from Councillor Gerald Squire. Can the Cabinet member outline what steps are being taken to reduce the current SEND budget pressures, including whether a specific plan or recovery strategy is in place? Councillor Farmer, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your question, Councillor Squire. This is an absolute priority for us, as such officers and partners are dedicating sufficient time to it. In order to reduce the in-year deficit, plan for predicting future increases in demand and ensure we provide the care and support required for some of our most vulnerable children. We are expecting the school's white paper to be published by the government within the coming weeks, which is expected to outline its plans for special education needs and disabilities and how to tackle the issues that we are facing here in Doncaster and across the country. This paper will detail government's approach to improve the SEND system and make it more inclusive. We understand that the proposed legislation will seek to repair the policies framework which created this problem and will seek to invest more in mainstream schools. I would like to highlight the responses to questions that were asked at full council in July, the update I provided to full council in September, the members' briefing on 23rd of September, the update within Q2 Finance and Performance Report, which went to Cabinet and Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee in December, and the most recent members' training refresh in relation to understanding local government finance and monitoring budget and performance improvement. This subject has been covered considerably including over the past 8 months, to enable new councillors to get up to speed with the challenges being faced here in Doncaster and across the country. This national crisis is the outcome of significant flaws in national government policy, primarily the 2015 legislation which was led by the previous Conservative government. As I have previously said, I will ensure all councillors are kept up to date in relation to the DSG. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Squire, would you? Okay, thank you. Okay, so at this point, it's fair to discuss that we are at the 3-hour point within a minute or two. Is there a proposer that we extend session until 5:45? Okay. Is that agreed by everybody? Okay, so we will try to fit everything in until that time. So that will, so there's one more written question that I'll read out, and I'll have a supplementary for that. But any after that, I think that to get more in, we'll not have supplementaries. Okay, thank you for that approval. I will now read out the final question on notice from Councillor Bob Anderson to Councillor James Church, Cabinet Member for Neighbourhoods, Planning and Public Health. As ward councillors, we continue to fund our £1 swim scheme at Rosington Leisure Centre, which is approaching its 3-year anniversary. This scheme is made possible through our ward budget, which is great, with amazing feedback received from residents telling us it has helped with weight loss, fitness, confidence, mental health and loneliness. Would it be possible to roll this out across Doncaster or encourage other councillors to do something similar for residents of their ward? Councillor Church, please.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Anderson. It is great to see the success of the Rosington and Bawtry £1 swim scheme that Rosington ward councillors have delivered for nearly 3 years. And I saw this for myself when I recently visited the leisure centre at Rosington. Swimming and sport deliver powerful physical, mental and social well-being benefits, from strengthening the heart and muscles to reducing anxiety and supporting long-term health. Research shows swimmers even tend to live longer and experience improved confidence and quality of life. Ward budgets are a relatively small sum of money per councillor, but enable us to support our wards and communities at a neighbourhood level. In terms of potentially rolling out this across Doncaster, that is not something we are considering at this moment in time, as we are focusing on investment in our leisure facilities. We are coming up to the end of the financial year, and I will encourage all ward councillors to consider doing something similar in their wards if they have the funding available. Whilst we're on the subject of ward budgets, I would like to thank those councillors from across the chamber who have donated some of their ward budget towards the Doncaster Hygiene Bank. In the interests of accountability, members of the public can find out online where their ward councillors have allocated funding from the relative ward budgets. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a supplementary question? Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Who asked a question? Can't remember. Bob, did you want a supplementary, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
It's just a quick point, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Church. I just think it's refreshing to talk about the good thing councillors are doing in their ward for the benefit of the residents that voted for them, instead of some of the disrespectful performance we have seen in the chamber today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We now come on to part 2 of item 13, questions without notice. To maximise member participation during the questions, I will allow members to ask their question, but not supplementary questions. Can I also ask that you ensure your questions are appropriate for the meeting, as members do have the opportunity to raise queries, questions and seek information outside of the meeting using other channels, emails, etc. Okay, so Please use the button on your console to indicate if you wish to ask a question. Are there any questions for Mayor Ross, please? Councillor Wood, you're top of the list. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Mayor Ross, I've had a bit of a problem, so I'm hoping you can help me. Last year, Doncaster people upgraded from Labour 1900 to Reform 2025. At the same time, Doncaster people were given a demonstration version of the operating system, Mayor 3.0, which was advertised in the product brochure to include much publicised Doncaster Sheffield Airport, or DSA 2.0. This will be available in late 2025-26, with Freight 3.0 first, then closely followed by Passengers 2.0. The people of Doncaster love the thought of having DSA 2, so while not overwhelmingly in favour, did support the need for DSA 2 and kept with Mayor 3 operating system, having been misled that the upgrades would, or misled into thinking the upgrades would be available very soon. Mayor 3 downgraded Cabinet 9 to Net Cabinet 4. This resulted in information overload and a reduction in ability to process clear information without the use of external packages as ChatGPT 5 and PA 1.0. The product publicised as DSA 2 was quickly reviewed and alleged problems reported with the implementation dates, even though it was found out later that the release dates were always going to be later than the brochure date. Mayor 3 acknowledged that this would not give the people of Doncaster the compensation they wanted, such as the replacing of Mayor 3 with Mayor 4. So as predicted, add-ons Freight 3 and Passengers 2 quickly fell back into the development process, resulting in extra funding being required to have any chance of getting DS2 off the ground. In addition to this, an app, Almo 2, known as Fly Doncaster, also installed itself into most, if not all, of the programmes, and now launches during system initialisation, resulting in in-app purchases that are out of the control and visibility of the Doncaster Council members and people of Doncaster. This app also has hidden coding acting as Trojan horse and viruses that result in negative pop-ups in local and national media for Doncaster Council, including Yorkshire Post and Doncaster.free.free press. Mayor 3 uses its own Trojan horses to mask the issue by posting on social media. Users have quickly realised there are major flaws in Mayor 3. The problem is that many people who stuck with the previous operating system are now finding out that not all information was virus checked by Council 20.25. The coding was not available for all councillors.
I hate
My question's at end.
In
DSA 2 going live without pilot taking place.
Point of order from Chair here.
Okay, sorry, Chair.
Your time allocated is 2 minutes.
No, I've nearly finished. It's literally finished.
And you know...
My question's there as well, so that's
Can you just go
important.
straight to the question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, I'm trying to find it. So installing background application programs like Gainshare 30-point years and Long.59 million is not the correct way of fixing DSA. Outside operating systems like Private Investor 1, 2 or 3 are most likely ways for DSA 2 to work correctly. This includes a review of attachments DSA Lease 20.24 that includes code that is detrimental to the future of DSA 2 and Gainshare 30-point years, resulting in Long 59 million being a waste of the people of Doncaster's wealth. Will the Mayor agree that the above glitches should be solved so this council can avoid Donygate 2.0? Thank you, Chair.
Mayor Ross, would you care to interpret that, please?
Well, if I could, I'd be putting it through a computer now to interpret. But I will always ensure that we do not have any Donygates while I sit here in this chair. Thank you.
And can I just applaud Councillor Wood for that fantastic piece of theatre? Excellent. Even though it was, meaningful. Well done on that. Councillor Rachel Reid, can you follow that?
Thank you. So it was just a question about, obviously, the elephant in the room that keeps stomping about. Why was the clause leaked rather than communicated publicly by the council itself? Thank you.
Yeah, it was. It was always in the document. If you look back at lots of reports that's come, you'll see it there. Thank you.
Councillor Riesbeck, please. I'm sorry, Councillor Reid, but we agreed wholeheartedly to do no supplementaries. But you can follow that up in writing, as we've said previously. Sorry, Councillor Riesbeck.
Quite a concise one compared to Councillor Woods, but just like to ask the Mayor, if a Mayor intentionally misleads the public, or if they mislead the public due to them being ignorant of easily available facts that they should be aware of, do you think that Mayor should resign, or at the very least apologise?
I never set out to mislead any public. I've always added to what I put in the airport that these are actually dependent on certain things coming forward, like the CAA, like the licensing of the airport. So no, I will not resign, and no, I do not believe I've misread the public. And we will keep the public up to date as things go forward. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. The next question is from Councillor Nicola Brown, please.
It's just about what you were saying when you first come on about the releasing the lease to the elected members and kind of like the confidentiality, all the other stuff. And I was just curious, why, what is on that? Why is it so highly confidential that the people can't see it? What is being hidden?
This is confidential information, commercial information. It's been open to many people quite a long time, and therefore more than happy to release it to each person in this room, each councillor, but it is for them to look at and view only, and that will be actually taken forward by our legal person to ensure that everyone who actually takes a copy, it is actually identified as that person taking it, because it is not for sharing anywhere else. These are commercial, confidential information that's going there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Johan Cratchit, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just to kind of clarify why I'm asking this question, we're talking 2 planning applications, major ones, over 2,600 houses in 2 planning applications that were basically guaranteed by that deal. And then if I'm to quote the Yorkshire Post, it says Doncaster Sheffield Airport approve housing or lose lease clause revealed by leak. So that clause was clearly not revealed to everybody, unless the Yorkshire Post is wrong. So my question is, why was that clause not publicly disclosed or explicitly highlighted when the council agreed the lease?
I'll refer you back to what I said at the very beginning. Councillors were not, who's part of the planning committee, we wanted to ensure that planning committee could make the decision and it didn't contravene any possibility. But the clause, I'm informed, has been in part and parcel of certain reports that's gone forward for the DSA for quite some time. But it was certainly not pointed out. As you know, I cannot take part in any planning applications. I have nothing to do with them. And therefore, that element is not actually shared. It is for planning committee to actually view all the documents that's presented to them on the planning responses, and therefore they will then make the decision whether they're going to approve it or not. So that information that you was asking for is not part of the information that the planning committee would actually be reviewing, because they would not be able to vote on it then.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver Blow, please.
Hello. Thank you, Chair. Going back to the elephant in the room here, which is DSA, obviously, and it's the transparency and governance around it. So if documents exist that set conditions, triggers or risks around the airport project, councillors cannot be expected to support further spending without knowing the full picture. Reform will not sign up to blank cheques. We want the airport to be reopened, but we want it to be reopened with value for money, proper oversight and full disclosure. So tonight we are asking for a full list of commitments already made, the risks and contingencies, and a pause on further spending until transparency is restored. This is not obstruction, this is responsible governance.
The spending has already been put through the MCA. It is them that are approving the funding to come to us. What you approved at the last council meeting was the ability to borrow before the monies comes in. Should you wish to try and delay everything, it will be down to the councillors in this room that are delaying the opening of the airport. However, if you want to put in writing all the differing things, then we will look at those. But what I will spell out is what you approved last time was simply the loans in order to cover the interim pin. So it's like you borrowing some money to cover ready for your mortgage coming in or your pay packet coming in. So the approvals will come through and will be scrutinised by the MCA as the money is via the MCA. It is again share monies coming through. The loans have already been approved by ourselves at the last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Nick Allen, please.
Thank you. According to a recent report I read in the Free Press from Unit 14 about education in Doncaster, we remain one of the least educated towns in Britain. Are you proud of that, and do you think it reflects on the town's politics in some way?
I believe if you look at the information that's been put out there in respect of how we're improving, we're at national average now. I would always want to see our people have the best educational possibilities they can, and therefore we will strive to ensure that that is what is put in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rob Dennis, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mayor Ros Jones, I believe members' development is part of your portfolio. If this isn't, please do pass on. I've noticed throughout this meeting, and I will don myself in on this, that members don't necessarily follow correct council procedures during full council. There's also a lack of respectful debate and seriousness of some questions, which clearly have been written by AI. Would I be able to suggest that members are provided with more training from the governance services team on full council debate procedures and being respectful to other members?
I think if members require further training, we've got the correct procedures to go through to get that if it's required individually. And I will actually point out that there's some mandatory training that really should be covered by each and every one. But I'm sure the section can actually provide more training if members require it. But they certainly need more training on what is point of order.
Thank you. Councillor Howard Rimmer, please.
Thank you, Chair. Lady Mayor, you keep reiterating that business and council should be confidential. You ought to tell the businesses that confidentiality depends on the acceptance of 55 elected members.
Representing what you say, what I've said is commercial confidentiality can't be put out there while negotiations are ongoing. And it is the commercial confidentiality. But each and every councillor has a chance to challenge within any overview and scrutiny what's called in, of course, as we put through different policies. Thank you.
Councillor Carl Hughes, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is as Chair of OSMC. Obviously, I'm engaged with governance to try and create and produce two documents. One of them is for all members, an access to information protocol. That's for all 55 councillors. There's an OSMC protocol as well being developed, and a draft copy has already been submitted. I just wanted assurance of you, Mayor Jones, that really these documents should have been presented to us in May when we came, firstly. And secondly, can you just give me a bit of insurance that there'll be no delay on getting them looked into? I'll help at every turn, but I don't want it to drag on, please.
I certainly won't be delaying any code of conduct that you're seeking to produce.
Thank you. We have now reached the hour mark for questions, and so that means that we can't take any more. However, if people want to write those and email those in, then they will be answered. So, yes, that's to complete the meeting. Because otherwise it would be 6 o'clock, wouldn't it? So, and it's always only an hour for questions. Sorry if I didn't make that clear, but it is, that is correct procedure. Thank you. So, moving on, item 15, minutes of joint authorities. The minutes are included as a hyperlink on the agenda to enable you to view them online. Minutes are included for information and not endorsement. Does any member wish to speak on this item? Okay. Thank you for that. Can I ask a member to move that the minutes are noted? Thank you. Is that noted? Agreed. Thank you. Members, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the business at today's meeting. Thank you very much, and I now declare the meeting closed.